Breathe all through our midnight. This avalon of our own fable.
Yeah, good morning, it's Uncle Lou here. Yeah, that's right. It is me, Uncle Lou, live on LouTube for you. Thanks for watching. This is Uncle Lou After Dark, the college football call-in show. If you'd like to be a part of the show tonight, click the StreamYard link. It's in the description of the video, where it will remain for the entirety of the show. I'll also post a link in the chat section from time to time, for example, right now. Just click the link. It's not an app. There's nothing to download. Click the link. It takes you to the StreamYard screen. A box comes up. Type your name in the box, whatever it is you want to be called. You can turn the camera off or on. It doesn't matter. You won't be on camera anyway. There is a camera function on StreamYard. I just use StreamYard to get the audio into the show, so don't let the camera scare you off. Nobody cares what you look like, least of all me. So camera off, on, doesn't matter. It's easy. Anybody can do it. How y'all doing? Hope everybody's had a good week. Sorry about no Tuesday show. Been out of town for a few days, but I'm back now. Back in the saddle. Yeah. Back in the saddle, ready to get back at it. What did I miss? I miss anything last few days? Got media days starting up next week for a few of the conferences. Week after that for another few. Anyway, all the conferences will be holding their media days over the next 3 to 4 weeks, so that'll give us something to talk about for sure. But this is your show. I just host it. We can talk about whatever it is you would like to talk about in the world of college football. Like I said, just click that StreamYard link. It's in the description of the video or in the chat section when I post it from time to time. We'll talk some college football. Let's take roll, see who's hanging out in here with us today. Happy Thursday. Ben Gunnels, AIP, Vols, and Pokes. Don Dougherty, or something along those lines. Yeah, Dogs Fan Senior. Brian Block, Stingray, Jerome, Octavian, Hodor. Jerome, Bobby Boucher, Michael Porter, Jay Shipes, Nature Boy, Ben Gunnels, Connor Anderson, Rocky Dennis is here, Jerome, Adam Anderson, Hill Guardian, Anthony Swift, how are you, sir? Robert Holiday, Mike the Tiger, Murda, Toy, how you doing? BA, Agent Z, Young Citrus, the Sandman, Huffer Billy Paw is here. Huffer Billy Paw went and gambled with me. We had a good time, didn't we, Paw? Yes, we did. Yes, we did. Brian Moses says, first time commenting. Well, it's good to have you in the chat section. Yeah, good to see you. Good to see you. Man. How y'all doing? Everybody okay? Everybody hanging in there? Make sure you're hitting the thumbs up at the start of the show today. That is a big help to a live stream, and it takes very little effort or energy on your part at all. It's literally the easiest, simplest thing you can do to help support the show. Go ahead and hit that thumbs up. I know you want to, so go ahead and do it. We'll get to the phone calls here in just a second. If you want to help support the show, keep these live shows on the air, direct donations, Super Chat, Cash App, and PayPal are all greatly appreciated. You can attach a note, question, comment, or troll attempt to any of that. Now, I'd be happy to read it and respond. So if you don't want to call in, if you're afraid of the StreamYard, if you're not much of a talker, you're more of a typer. Yeah, but you still want to attempt to troll me. There you go. Cash App, Super Chat, and PayPal. Super Chat right below the comment section. Cash App and PayPal in the description of the video. Just like the StreamYard link to join the show. But, yeah, I'll post it in the chat section too. Try to make things as easy as I can for you. I'm here for you. Uncle Lou, here for you. Oh, man, you'll be around a long time to remember that one. Now I remember why I quit saying it, too. Yeah. Good morning, you're on with Uncle Lou. You got yourself muted, so it's going to be hard for us to hear you when you have yourself muted. Put you in the back room, see if you can't get it figured out. Good morning, you're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, how you doing today, Lou?
What's up, Eric? I'm doing great, buddy. How are you?
Doing all right, buddy. Doing all right.
Good.
So,
Good. That makes me happy.
Who's the quarterback going to be for Georgia this year?
Carson Beck.
Oh yeah. That's a good quarterback.
Yes, fascinating.
Yep. So it's gonna be a fun season of football. It's almost time, bud.
Yeah, we got about 6 weeks till week 0, I guess. We got 4 or 5 games on week 0. Notre Dame plays on some other continent somewhere because nobody here cares about them anymore. And then I think maybe Vanderbilt plays at night or something. So I think those are the only 2 Power 5 teams that are playing. There may be a third that I'm leaving out. But, yeah, Notre Dame, I think, plays Navy on another continent somewhere. And Vandy, I think, is hosting Hawaii or something like that. I don't know. A handful of games, for week 0. Nothing huge, but at least it's something.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
And then I hope. I don't even know who the quarterback is going to be at Mizzou this year. It's gonna. I'm hoping for a good season.
Might be Jake Garcia Is it Jake Garcia from Miami?
Might be, yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. He was the only quarterback they had in the spring, really.
Yeah, I know.
The rest of them was injured. So we'll see.
Oh, geez. I know Tim Horn is still around. I know that much.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
Yep,
it's going to be a fun season. Probably a whole bunch of Georgia wins, too.
I would assume 14 or 15.
Yep.
Yeah, that'd be my guess.
Yep. All right, buddy.
All right, buddy. Good to have you on, man. Appreciate you calling in. We will talk to you next week. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
What's up, Lou? How you doing?
Ballard, what's up, buddy? I'm doing great. How are you, sir? And two, also.
I'm a working man now. I got a job.
What? What do you got you doing?
I'm at a bookstore.
What?
Yeah.
What the hell you doing at a bookstore?
Getting smarter.
What do you mean, like a library or like Books a Million or?
So it's the campus bookstore. It's a seasonal job.
Oh, I got you. So you're selling shirts and shit and whatnot, textbooks and that. Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Good.
So
good.
Anyway, I wanted to call.
Got to work on Saturdays or?
No, not on Saturdays.
Okay. Right. Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
So I wanted to call in tonight and ask you about year 2 college football coaches and who you think will probably have a great second season this year. Because we got Brent Venables, we got Mario Cristobal, we got I mean, it doesn't have to be a big playoff run or anything, but there's a lot of great coaches coming back this year. And I mean, I think the obvious choice is probably Lincoln Riley at USC, but
yeah, he might be the only one that has any chance of all at having a great season, isn't it?
Yeah, probably.
Mario Cristobal is not going to have a great season. Brent Venables is not going to have a great season. What other second-year coaches do we have around? Brian Kelly. Hey. Brian Kelly. Quit disrespecting Brian Kelly.
Yeah, we got Brian Kelly. You got Dan Lanning. You got DeBoer at Washington. I don't know if you want to buy into the Washington hype or anything,
both of them could have a great – yeah, so I guess it's pretty much every second-year coach except Brent Venables and Mario Cristobal has potential to have a great second year.
Yeah.
So Miami and Oklahoma aren't getting anywhere near the playoffs. So those other teams have a chance. LSU, Southern Cal, Washington, Oregon all have a better chance, way better chance of getting close to the playoffs or making the playoffs than Miami or Oklahoma do. That's just a fact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you want to get up a notch, year 3 coaches, Josh Heupel and the Poverty Tennessee Volunteers.
What about 7-year coaches? Anybody on that list? Where are we stopping at here? 3 years? We're stopping at 3?
7-year coaches. I know Kirby Smart.
Is it a 7th or 8th year?
We'll see.
This is 8th year.
Yeah.
16, 17, 18, 19.
What about 17-year coaches or however long it's been for
3?
Old Coach Saban.
17-year coach is not good. Not good. If you don't believe me, ask Pat Fitzgerald. Think
Yeah.
about it. Think about it. Just think about it, Ballard.
I'm thinking.
Not good so far for 17-year coaches.
Yeah. By the way, I know we got media days next week. Is there
Yes.
anything you're hoping to maybe get insight on for Georgia this next week?
I'm just hoping I don't embarrass myself doing whatever it is I'm doing for Bleacher Report, which I don't have any idea what I'm doing. So, and they haven't really
All right,
told
man.
me, so I don't really know. I just know I'm
Yeah.
doing. I just know I'm doing a show on Bleacher Report. Other than that, I don't know anything.
You're actually doing a show with Bleacher Report?
Yes.
I'll have to tune into that.
Yeah, I don't know where it will be. I don't know what. I don't know if it's a. I don't even know if they have a YouTube channel. I don't know. Have no idea.
Huh.
Just know I'm doing a show for the Bleacher Report about something with SEC Media Days. Don't know. That's all I know. That's all I know.
Well, hey, good luck with it, man. Thanks for letting me call in tonight.
Yeah,
And,
thanks for calling in.
We'll tie it
Ballard.
in there.
It was great
Yeah.
to hear from you. Per usual. Yeah, per usual. It was great to hear from you. Rock Major, thank you for hitting the super chat to help support the show today, buddy. I really, really appreciate that. Retro KG, thank you as well. He says, with the ACC getting a deal with the CW, is that true, by the way? Looks like the Pac-12 will be on the Food Network. What a sad state of affairs. Have a good morning in that. Man, the damn CW. Wow. I mean, have you ever heard of the phrase, something is better than nothing? That's really all you can say about the Pac-12 and the CW, if that's true. I've been out of town for a few days. I may be out of the loop. I know they've been trying to finalize a TV deal here heading into media days, and I know the CW was one of the channels or stations or networks or whatever that was being mentioned. But so if that's true, which I don't know if it is, y'all can let me know in the chat. Maybe I'm assuming it is true. Something is better than nothing, I guess. Let's see. Let's see. What kind of positive spin would Josh Pate put on this? You know, the glass is always half full at Pate State. I don't know. Don't knock the CW. Buffy the Vampire Slayer was an amazing show. This could be the next big hit. You know, Pac-12. You know, you got Buffy the Vampire Slayer marathons on Friday, maybe leading into Pac-12 Saturdays, and just sort of keep the hits rolling right along. This is big news for the Pac-12. This keeps their head above water. Let's see. What else can we say? It's better than being on. It's better than being on the Lifetime channel. I mean, hey, it's not the Lifetime channel, so hey, I don't know. We'll have to tune in and see what kind of positive spin Josh Pate puts on this. Tune in and figure that out. Thank you for the super chat. Retro KG. Smallville? Smallville. That's kind of appropriate for the Pac-12. The Pac-12 is Smallville. Smallville. What else comes on the CW? Here, I have a question. I'm going to ask a question right now. Get ready to type something, okay? Because I'm only going to give you a few seconds to answer it, and I want you to be truthful. I want you to type a 1 if you could do this, 2 if you couldn't. So basically 1 for yes, 2 for no. You ready? If I gave you 60 seconds, could you find the CW on your TV? 1 for yes, 2 for no. If I gave you 60 seconds right now, could you find the CW on your TV? 1 for yes, 2 for no. Wow, way more 1s than I thought. I mean, a lot of 2s, obviously, but I'm surprised there's even that many 1s. I'm surprised there's even that many 1s. So, some of you have the CW saved in your favorite channel list, apparently, though. That's sad and pitiful, too. Yeah. and Colorado's going 10-2. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Good morning, Uncle Lou. How you doing, man?
Doing good. How are you, sir?
Doing pretty good.
That's good.
So I listened to the 4th of July, live show you had a couple weeks ago,
Mark.
and one of the Florida men, I believe, was trying to say Kentucky's not even going to be bowl eligible. I strongly disagree, and I'm willing to bet 100 against him that Kentucky will definitely be at least bowl eligible. That's insane take, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean they're picked ahead of Florida, so I mean you got to watch out for these Florida people. You really do. They're Florida down real bad. They say some weird stuff all the time anyway, but they're down so bad right now. They're like they're constantly air punching. They're just they're mad, and there's no telling what type of shit they might say now. They're just irate. You know, now they're out to get On3 Sports now. Have you heard about this now?
No, I sure haven't heard about that.
Yeah, Florida. Now, Florida fans aren't the only ones that get riled up about this every year. But Florida fans are convinced that On3 and these recruiting agencies just hate Florida. Because, oh my God, this player or that player or whatever had this ranking, and then he committed to Florida, and his ranking dropped. Oh, they just hate Florida. That's it. They just secretly, they're not even a real recruiting service. It's all just a giant scam to secretly hate on Florida on a national level. They're just besides themselves. Because, they were June recruiting champions, so they were on top of the world. They signed like, I don't know, a 4-star or 3. And they're flying high. They were ranked in the top 5 in the recruiting thing. And they were just high as a kite. And then On3 updated their rankings or something and dropped a handful of Florida players in the rankings. And now Florida man is just besides himself. He can't believe it. This whole time we all thought On3 was a recruiting service. No, it's all been a giant sham. There's somebody at On3 who's a Georgia homer, and there's somebody at On3 who's an Alabama homer. And the whole goal of On3 is to just make Georgia and Alabama's class look better by hyping up their recruits while shitting down the mouth of the Florida man by dropping their recruits. Now, never mind the fact that it's pretty much, well, not even pretty much, it has been 100% proven beyond the shadow of a doubt that Georgia and Bama do actually have better players than Florida. That doesn't matter. Forget that. They're not actually better. It's just that On3 lowers the rankings of Florida players. Somehow that then makes them play bad, I guess, when they get to Florida. Thank you for the call. I got off on a rant there. I don't even remember why you called or what you were asking, but that was a great call though. But yeah, the Florida man is just irate and besides himself. If you don't believe me, go to Twitter and just look on any On3 Twitter page. I don't know. I think On3's got multiple Twitter accounts. It doesn't even matter what On3 tweets about now. Go through the replies. It's nothing but Florida people blowing their nose in the comment section because some Florida recruit got dropped in their rankings, and they're convinced now that On3 is just a giant publicity machine for Georgia and Bama and is just out to get Florida some type of way. Absolutely pathetic and pitiful, to be honest. Absolutely pathetic and pitiful. And what blows my mind is they've done got my man High Top Sports over there on that Florida channel buying into this nonsense. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. It really is. The things the ways in which people will stretch their mind to try to make sense or belief out of the most idiotic things imaginable never ceases to amaze me in the internet age. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey man, what's up, Lou? How you doing?
Doing good. How are you, buddy?
Man, I'm doing good, man. I was calling because y'all forgot the most biggest flop. He's gonna be a flop of a second-year head coach.
Who?
You talk about him all the time.
Oh,
Sunbelt Billy.
Sunbelt Billy.
Y'all forgot. I'm like, man, how y'all forget the most important?
5-7, but Yeah, but we signed some recruits in June. Great.
Hey,
That's
what you
great,
calling-
dummy.
What you call it, Lou? Off-season champs.
Yeah, they were off-season champions, June recruiting champions. That title goes to Florida this year without question. You know, I'm adding a "Your Season Is Over" video to the repertoire. But 1 week before the season starts on Sunday, I'm doing an off-season "Your Season Is Over" video, and
Yes,
I'm gonna bury all the teams and fan bases that chirped and ran their mouth in the off-season. That are about to get humiliated now that it's time to actually play football. And I can promise you, at least 20 minutes of that video will be dedicated to my buddies, the Florida Gators.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, I was looking at the Lunch Money Show Monday, man. You had me rolling with the dude Vic too.
Yes.
Oh my God, he stood his ground on you, Lou.
Yes, he
and
did.
It was so fucking funny, man.
Yeah, Vic too.
You said, Lou, I could have retaliated on you, but I didn't. And man, when he said the reason you didn't retaliate on me because I never blocked you, man, I was on the floor rolling, man. He stood his ground though.
Yeah, Vic's
He
my
stood
man.
his
I've been knowing
ground.
Vic a long time, so you know he knows I'm just messing with him. So I like to go back and forth with Vic.
Yeah, man,
that was fun though. Yeah.
Hey, you and Pinsky and Pete, I promise, man. I don't know what it is, but when y'all on the same channel, bro, like, and y'all be doing what y'all did Monday, and when y'all be having Edward on there, bro, y'all turn into like comedians. And I don't even think y'all doing it on purpose. Y'all just talking shit, but it be so fucking funny, bro.
Yeah,
oh my God, man.
Yeah, I have
It'd
a good
be
time with
hilarious.
Pete on that Monday show. We've been doing it for a couple of years now. Usually it's on this channel, but I was out of town
Yeah.
this week, so we did it on Pete's channel. But that show's a lot of fun.
Surprisingly, it popped up on my YouTube feed,
Oh, good.
and I never looked at one of Pinsky and Pete's videos until the end. It just popped up. So thanks to your channel, I'm gonna start paying attention more to him because he got good content too.
Yeah,
And
good.
he
Yeah.
he blows his cap just like you do. So
That's
it's kind
right.
of funny too.
Yeah.
So yeah. So okay, I want to a couple of things. I don't think Brent Venables gonna last, Lou. You think he gonna get? I give him 1 year in the SEC. If he don't have a good year this year, I think I give him 1 year in the SEC. What you think about that? You think you think they're gonna give him at least 1 year if he don't have a good
Well,
year this
his
year?
first year in the SEC will be his third year overall. So
Right.
now I'm expecting them to improve this year. So I think they should win at least 8 or 9 games. I don't think they're going to win the Big 12. But almost
Right.
more important to me than their record this year is that defense, because that defense was so bad last year. And that was the surprise. Not necessarily that they had a down year with a coaching change. But the defense being that bad, that was a surprise to me. And the Oklahoma fans can tell me all they want. Oh, it was year one. Oh, it was leftover Lincoln Riley players. We know all that. But last offseason, the Oklahoma fans were thinking the same thing I was thinking, which is that Brent Venables would have a defensive impact immediately, even with Lincoln Riley players. And that didn't happen. That defense was horrendous. They gave up 40 points or more in half their games. They were ranked into hundreds in way too many defensive categories. So almost to me, more important than their overall record this year is how much better does that defense look?
Yeah.
Because it's going to have to get a whole lot better before they come into the SEC the following year. And then the quarterback situation is interesting too, because they bring Dylan Gabriel back, who's been around forever. He was at, I think, was it Central Florida he was at for a long time, but now he's at Oklahoma.
Yeah.
He is back, but they've got a freshman that I don't think he was the number
Jackson
one
Arnold.
rated. Yeah, I don't think he was I guess Arch Manning was the number one QB. I'm not a recruiting expert, so to speak. But I know he was one of the top quarterbacks in last year's class. I think he's going to be really, really good. So I'm curious if they get to week 7 or 8 and they've already got, let's say, maybe 3 or 4 losses. I'm kind of curious if we start to see more of Jackson Arnold towards the end of the year to kind of move Oklahoma forward to next year, because clearly the more experience Jackson Arnold can get this year as a backup or maybe even as a starter late in the year, that will benefit not only Jackson Arnold but Oklahoma as a whole going forward the next year. Brent Venables' third year, which of course will be the first in the SEC. But I do expect Oklahoma to be a lot better. If Oklahoma was in the SEC this year and was playing a random schedule of 4 good teams and 4 bad teams, I don't think anybody would pick Oklahoma to beat Georgia, Bama, LSU, Tennessee.
Nope.
That's so at best they would be 5th. in the SEC. I think they would probably be picked behind Texas A&M right now. Even I think they might even be behind South Carolina. They might even they would probably be around a Kentucky level pick this year, I think.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that's what they'll be next year when they actually come in. I'm just saying, look, right now, Oklahoma is not in a position to compete in the SEC. Hell, they can't even compete in the Big 12. And I'm not putting them down. That's the reality. They had a losing record last year. So they got to get better this year and then springboard themselves, into that first year in the SEC. And I think the defense improving a lot. And what does Jackson Arnold look like when he plays this year? I think those are two key. Because the recruiting has been great. I mean, they signed. Yeah. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Again, I'm not. I look at recruiting. I don't study recruiting. I think Oklahoma had their best class in school history last season. This past signing class with Brent Venables. But in any case, it was a really, really good class. So if he keeps that up, obviously the talent level is going to increase, but you got to start winning games. I think that starts this year. I think they'll be a better team with a better record this year and springboard themselves into that third year.
Hey, Lou, let them tell it. Dylan Gabriel, this is like his 7th year? They can go 100-0, right?
It should be 100-0. He's this year's Stetson Bennett, which is what, it's weird. Hendon Hooker is this year's Stetson Bennett. Dylan Gabriel's this year's Stetson Bennett. I don't know how two teams are both going to win the national title, but I guess that's what's going to happen because the only reason Georgia won the national title is because it was Stetson Bennett's 6th year. I've been told that a million times. So it's either going to be the smart money is on Tennessee or Oklahoma to win the national title this year. If they don't, then those coaches and those teams are huge failures.
Yeah, I got one more thing, Lou. Did you see? I know you didn't see it. I know you don't pay attention to that part, but they actually got Lad McConkey shooting up the draft board.
I saw that.
They got him as a top 50 player right now.
Yeah, and you know what? I have to apologize to my man Lad McConkey. and again, you never know about these measurements because teams try to sort of fudge them a little bit, and then we find out their real situation at the combine. But they've got Lad McConkey listed at 6 feet. I wouldn't have thought that. I would have thought he was shorter. I would have thought he was more like Miko Hardman size, 5'9", 5'10", something like that. If he's 6 feet tall, that helps him a little bit too, draft wise. But yeah, he could have a huge year this year. I'm curious how they're going to split the. I think they're going to throw the ball a little bit more overall than they did last year.
Allow slot receivers,
and I think they're going to throw it downfield a little more than they did last year too. So I'm curious how they sort of split up some of these reps at wide receiver. I mean, Lad McConkey's our most productive returning wide receiver, clearly.
Yeah.
But he plays a lot in the slot. And so if you're going to put, say, Marcus Rosemy on the outside on one side and maybe Ra-Ra on the outside on the other, and then that leaves you with a bunch of receivers to rotate in that slot, like Dominic Lovett, who appears to be really, really good. Of course, Lad McConkey. So I'm just curious to see how they sort of work that rotation. I think we're going to have, and I've talked about this before, we had a lot of 2 tight end sets last year. I think we'll run some 2 tight end this year, but not nearly as much as last year now that Darnell's gone. So that's going to mean an extra wide receiver on the field for a lot of plays. So it's going to be interesting to see how Lad does this year because, but I saw an article or a tweet or something too that had him listed in the top 10 of draftable wide receivers, and that surprised me a little just because of his size. But then I saw 6 feet surprised me too. So
and they got Kendall Milton as like a third day undrafted right now. I was like, damn.
Well, he's got to stay healthy. He's got to stay healthy. I mean, you it's hard to draft a running back on potential. Quarterbacks, look at Anthony Richardson. You can draft a quarterback on potential because if it pans out, that quarterback can win you games and play for 15 to 20 years. A running back plays for 3 years on average in the NFL. That's it.
That's true.
Now, most running backs never even make it to their second contract. And so you can't you can't expect a team to go out and invest a draft pick right now anyway in somebody like Kendall Milton, as far as what we've seen so far, because he can't stay healthy. No 1,000-yard seasons. I mean, nothing really jumps out about him. I mean, we know his potential. We like what he has to, what he's capable of doing, but he's got to prove to the NFL that he can do it over the course of a season.
Hopefully he get better this season.
I hope so too. Season. Yeah, because I've liked him from the day we signed him. I like him. His dad is funny. He's been fun to follow, but it's just the injury luck. He hasn't had luck with. He's had bad luck with injuries.
Yeah, sad.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I had, Lou. I gotta hang out with you one day, man. My fourth baby mama stay down in Augusta. Gotta come down there and hang out.
Yeah, come on down, man. We'll go to T-Bones. We'll go to T-Bones and get some Tommy fries.
Yes, sir. I'm coming right before school start. I gotta buy my son his school clothes and stuff like that. So
let me
I think
know
I'm coming
when you're
right
coming
before
down. Yeah,
school.
let me know when you're coming
I
down.
will.
We'll go do something. All right, buddy. I'll talk to you later. Appreciate you taking the time to come on. Thank you for the call. If Florida beats LSU, Georgia, and FSU, then I know nothing about there's a 0% chance Florida's beating all three of those teams. There's only about a 5% chance they even beat one of them. But there's a 0% chance they're beating all three. There's no way. There is zero chance Florida's beating. I don't even know whoever typed that ought to delete their not just their YouTube account. You ought to delete your entire internet footprint. Anywhere you've ever been and logged into something, you ought to delete it all immediately and just start over. If you actually typed into the comment section that you think Florida's beating Georgia, Florida State, and LSU this year. God, I love Florida fans. It's just nonstop entertainment. Good morning, Nat, too.
Morning. How you doing, Uncle Lou?
Doing good.
Good to see you back. You have a good time on your trip?
I did. Yeah, I had a great time. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm glad to see you and Ballard are back on good terms after he was messing with you the other day on the 4th of July.
Yeah, the nerve of that guy, Ballard, to mess with me like that on a federal holiday. Yeah. But I've been knowing Ballard a long time, so, you know, you gotta forgive and forget, as they say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take the good with the bad.
That's right.
All right. Just a couple of quick questions, and one of them is very serious.
Mm-hmm.
I do not follow him. I'll try to because of y'all, and I just fell out of it. How's DVD doing?
Oh, he's doing good.
Okay.
Yeah, he's doing good. Now, he recently had another extended hospital stay where, you know, and this has kind of been what's going on for a while with him, but he goes into the hospital for whatever the reason is that he's going in, and then unfortunately, like they find other things, or they're you know, these complications come up, or he ends up with an infection, and so he had a little bit of that again, but he's out now. He was on the morning show a couple of weeks ago. He's back doing live shows over on his channel. I don't know how long it's been since you kept up. You know, he did lose a leg.
I saw
about a year ago.
I don't watch the morning show.
Yeah.
That much because I work.
I don't blame you.
But and I've tried to a couple of years ago watch him. I mean, he's funny, but I like y'all two together more.
Right.
Because just that jocularity, you know, jabbing back and forth.
Yeah.
I like that more. That's the reason why I was asking.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, he's doing a lot better. We're actually having a softball game coming up. When is it? Not this weekend coming, but next weekend, like July 22nd. There's
okay,
like
trying to get Jay Shikes not to get arrested this time.
Yeah. Okay. So you know about that. Yeah. He ran into a little bit of trouble last year. So we're doing that again this year. And BVD is wanting to go. Obviously, he can't play softball, but he wants to come and hang out. He's got a ride down there, I think. So as long as, like, health wise, he's feeling up to it, I think he's going to be at that softball game coming up in 9 days.
All right. So I've got a couple of questions for you that I've seen different things from different media. I can't remember exactly where they're from. One of them is saying that Drake May will probably be the first overall quarterback going in the NFL draft. What do you think about that?
Well, one thing we have to remember, and it's hard for us to do because I don't know about you specifically, but a lot of us on this channel watch college football and don't watch any NFL, or we watch very little NFL. And the qualifications aren't one to one. In other words, you can't. Okay, like Stetson Bennett was a Heisman finalist. It doesn't mean he's a top 3 quarterback pick. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's different qualifications. Southern Cal's going to win 10, 11, 12 games again, probably. North Carolina might not. Maybe they go 8-4 or something like that. And in our minds, we're like, well, all the attention's on Caleb Williams. He went 12-0. Drake May keeps losing 4 and 5 games. The NFL doesn't care about any of that. Now, with that being said, I don't know what the NFL evaluations are between Drake May and Caleb Williams. But Drake May, I think, will be he'll be very highly drafted. He'll be a top 10 pick, I think. Will he go ahead of
Yeah.
Caleb Williams? I have no idea. And honestly, a lot of that comes down to the order of the teams, who drafts in what particular order, because there can be two NFL teams. One of them might think Caleb Williams is a little bit better. The other one might think Drake May is a little bit better. So it just depends on the order of the pick sometimes. I don't know, but I think Drake May is a really, really good quarterback. Very good quarterback.
I watch more college than I do NFL. I might watch 2 NFL games on Sunday, or if they're having, the only time I really watch it is playoffs and the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But I mean,
look, this channel was around.
I mean, Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, this channel was around when Patrick Mahomes was at Texas Tech. You know how many people called me and talked to me about Patrick Mahomes? 0. I never uttered the words Patrick Mahomes a single time while he was at Texas Tech, not once. And no one ever called in and asked me about him, nothing. But but look what he's doing in the NFL. So Tim Tebow, that's all. If YouTube call-in shows would have been around during the Tim Tebow days, every other call would have been about Tim Tebow. Guy gets to the NFL, can't complete a pass. It's college quarterback and NFL quarterback are almost two separate positions almost. Being good in one doesn't guarantee you'll be good in the other. So with Caleb and Drake May, I think they're both really good college quarterbacks. I also happen to think they're both going to be really good NFL quarterbacks. As far as which one will be better in the NFL or get drafted first, I've got no idea. No idea.
Okay. And another one, I was reading an article. This is also going from college to NFL now.
Mm-hmm.
There was an article, I think it was ESPN, that somebody wrote. I want to say it was there, that they were saying statistically that Brock Bowers was like 2 times better than Kyle Pitts ever thought about being. What is your opinion on that?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of comparisons between those two. Kyle Pitts is definitely the best SEC tight end. I don't know how far you want to go back, but he's the best I've seen in a while. Kyle Pitts at Florida. Now, as far as my recollection of Kyle Pitts, and I know there's Florida fans and maybe even fans from other teams are going to tell me, no, that's not true. My recollection of Kyle Pitts, though, is for one season, 2020. I can't tell you a thing about Kyle Pitts in 2019.
Yeah.
Maybe he was halfway decent. I don't know. I'm just telling you as just a college football fan who watches, 10 games a weekend or whatever. I don't remember anything about Kyle Pitts outside of 2020, his last year, and it was an amazing year. Brock Bowers has had a Kyle Pitts year every single year he's been in college, 2 straight years. Now this is his 3rd year. So he's got a chance to do 3 years in a row what Kyle Pitts did for 1 year. I'm not saying that makes Brock Bowers better, and I had a problem with the Falcons drafting Kyle Pitts in the top 10. I don't think a tight end should be drafted in the top 10. So I don't know where Brock Bowers will be drafted as compared to Kyle Pitts, but he'll be the first tight end drafted. There's no question about it. If you're drafted in the top 10, you got a lot of needs, and I don't know that tight end is number 1 on that list.
Yeah, he was drafted like number 5, so they were saying like statistically wise, Brock Bowers should be drafted higher, like number 2 or number 3, if that's what that team needs.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, if the team with the number 2 pick has their franchise quarterback and some great wide receiver, like if they've got no needs, then yeah. I mean, there's a difference between being the best player available and a player that a team needs, right? I mean, we see this all the time in the draft. I mean, you see it with running backs a lot. But so I don't know where he'll get drafted, and I don't think where he gets drafted is an indication that he's better or worse than Kyle Pitts. He could go number 1 overall. To me, that's not going to prove he's better than Kyle Pitts. It's going to prove that whoever was drafting number 1 thinks they need a tight end more than they need anything else. Now, I disagree with that wholeheartedly. I don't think a tight end should be drafted in the top 10 at all unless you trade up into the top 10. Because if you're drafting in the top 10, you're terrible. And if you're terrible, you got a lot of needs. And I don't understand how tight end can be a team's number one need. I don't understand that, but he'll be the first tight end taken.
And last question. All right. I know what was going on with Pat Fitzgerald. I saw your video the other day. I looked into it a little bit earlier. But let's just go hypothetical, just to make you laugh. Butch Jones, Dan Mullen, or just somebody, or Ed Orgeron, or somebody else over there getting the Northwestern head coach job.
I don't think Dan Mullen or Ed Orgeron will get the Northwestern job.
I'm just saying, who would you want to see just to make you laugh? Because I mean, you know,
Dan Mullen.
If you get Ed Orgeron over,
Dan Mullen is the answer. Dan Mullen coaching anywhere is fine.
Over there, you know, if you get Ed Orgeron over there, everything will be unaudible, but it'll be like, "Go Tigers!" Oh, I'm sorry, go Northwestern.
Yeah, the Wildcats in that.
So, but yeah.
All right, buddy. I appreciate you coming on, man. It was good to hear from
Bye.
you. Thank you for the call. I have no idea. I think I read something on the phone earlier today that said they've promoted a coach that's already there to interim head coach for this season, which makes sense because, like I said in the video, there aren't a lot of unemployed head coaches sitting around right now. I mean, if you're a college coach, whether you're a graduate assistant, a position coach, a coordinator, or a head coach, you're already employed at whatever team you're going to be working for this season. It's a bad time to be looking for a coach right now. So I think I read earlier that they decided to promote from within and name an interim head coaches, which, like I said in the video, I assume that's what they would do. As far as who they're going to go after permanently, I've got no clue. I've heard Jim Leonard's name mentioned. Of course, he's a Big Ten guy. He's a Big Ten man, woo. Yep. Heard his name mentioned. I would be shocked if it was somebody like Dan Mullen or Ed Orgeron, like the caller mentioned, but I've been shocked before. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm sorry. I think.
Yeah. I'm sorry too. Mostly for your parents. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Go Gators.
Yeah. That was it, huh? Waited 30 minutes for that? Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Uncle Lou, how you doing?
Doing good. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing good. First of all, I want to congratulate Ballard on getting a job.
Yeah,
at least we don't have to, at least we don't have to, listen to him whistling to Skinner anymore.
Well, hopefully we still get to listen to that from time to time.
Well, yeah, of course we do. So, but my question to you, Uncle Lou, and the first question is, do you think the national media has an agenda against Georgia?
No.
Okay. All right. And then, so my next question is Carson Beck. Why is he so like rated so low in the SEC quarterback comparisons?
Where is he rated?
I think. Well, they got. He's like 8th.
So does that make him the highest rated quarterback in the SEC who's never started a game?
Well, I don't know, Uncle Lou. That's what I'm asking you. I mean, I think Carson Beck is a good quarterback. I mean, I think he's going to have a great season.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing with Carson Beck. Everything is what people think because they don't know because he's never played. So, like, I would understand why somebody would have Carson Beck behind Spencer Rattler.
Whoever. Do you think he's behind Spencer Rattler?
Spencer Rattler's got way more wins than Carson Beck had. Carson Beck has 0 wins.
Exactly. But, okay, so would you want Spencer Rattler or Carson Beck starting at Georgia this year?
Well, I would take Carson Beck.
Of course. Right?
But that doesn't mean Carson Beck's going to be better than Spencer Rattler, does it?
Well, no, it doesn't. But, I mean,
You can't understand why someone would rank a quarterback who's never played lower than a 5-star quarterback who has. That just makes no sense to you?
No, it does. It makes perfect sense to me. But I mean, if I had my choice between Spencer Rattler or Carson Beck, I'm picking Carson Beck.
Is there any quarterback on the planet you would take over Carson Beck?
Of course.
Okay, who are they?
Well, I mean, so you got the quarterback at USC. You got Drake May, maybe. But I mean, what I'm saying is, I mean,
Carson Beck.
it's. I'm sorry, what?
Nothing. I mean, these are preseason. I don't really know. I don't know why anybody would be upset or whatever. The guy's never started a game. So we're not talking about where these quarterbacks are going to be rated at the end of the year. We're talking about where they're rated now. I mean, Carson Beck's never started a game ever. So
right. Well,
he's a 4-star. So should he be should Carson Beck be rated ahead of Joe Milton or behind Joe Milton?
Well, Joe Milton can't, probably is not going to be able to complete a pass, this year. You know what I mean?
No, I don't know what you mean. So should Carson Beck be rated above or below Jackson Dart at Ole Miss?
He should be rated above him.
What
Absolutely.
about Will Rogers at Mississippi State?
We're right. Yeah, no, he's good.
What about Devin Leary at Kentucky?
He should be rated above him. Absolutely.
He should be rated above Devin Leary.
Yes.
Thank you for the call. Listen. I don't know what to tell you, man. The guy's never started a game. So getting yourself all worked up and bent out of shape because somebody wrote an article, whoever, I don't even know who you're talking about. Somebody wrote an article and says, here's my rating of SEC quarterbacks entering the season. And they put a guy who's never played a game, Carson Beck, below a bunch of quarterbacks who've got 20 wins or something. I get it. And I really don't understand how anybody else doesn't get it. We're not talking about where we think these quarterbacks will be rated at the end of the year. We're talking about where they're rated now. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't get that. I don't get that. I mean, you're talking about a 4-star, not a 5-star, who's been on campus for 4 years, and there hasn't been a single day in Carson Beck's life where he was able to beat out Stetson Bennett. In 2020, he couldn't beat out DeJuan Mathis. In 2021, he couldn't beat out JT Daniels or Stetson Bennett. In 2022, he couldn't beat out Stetson Bennett. I'm not saying any of this to say that he's not any good. I'm saying this isn't a Justin Fields or a Dylan Raiola situation. This isn't a situation where you've got a guy who's coming in fresh from high school, ready to go, 5-star, number 1 rated quarterback in the country. This is Carson Beck. He was a 4-star. He was a really good high school quarterback. He's been at UGA since Ballard was in middle school. Never started a game. I think he's going to be really good. I think at the end of the year, he's going to be rated in the top 5 of SEC quarterbacks, maybe top 2 or 3. But so will Joe Milton. And you say he's not going to complete a pass this year. I don't know, man. I don't know. I completely understand why somebody would have Carson Beck rated in the middle of the pack of SEC quarterbacks. The guy's never played a game. I don't think he's going to be in the middle of the pack at the end of the year, but I don't know that. I just think that because I've never seen him play. Not start anyway. I think he'll be fine. I think Georgia's offense will be fine. I think Carson Beck will be fine. But that's a lot of thinks and not very many knows because we don't know because he's never started a game ever. Ever. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou. Yep. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, Lou. What's up, man?
Hey, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, all right. So I got something. It's kind of just like how I feel about college football right now. I mean, you're probably going to disagree with me, but how do you feel about the G5 getting automatic bids into the 12-team playoff?
As long as we're pretending that there's no difference between the Power 5 and a Group of 5, I think they deserve the same rights to get into the playoffs that the Power Five do. Now, I don't think they are the same as the Group of Five. Now, that doesn't mean that the best 10 teams in the Group of Five in any given year couldn't beat the worst 5 teams in the Power Five. Of course they could. There's Group of 5 teams every year that actually beat Power 5 teams. So I'm not saying that no Group of 5 team can even compete with a Power 5. That's not what I'm saying. But as a whole, the Group of 5 is not the same as the Power 5. It's just not. They don't get the same caliber of player. They're not the same financially. They don't have the same types of facilities. They don't have the size recruiting or coaching staffs that the Power 5. I mean, there's just they're not the same. But as long as we're pretending they are, then they have to have the same access to the postseason that everybody else has. So if you're gonna give away automatic playoff bids, and you're going to pretend that there's no difference between the Power 5 and a Group of 5, then I think the Group of 5 deserves an automatic playoff bid.
See, that's kind of where my problem is I don't understand why we do pretend that they're the same as the Power 5. I don't get where that comes from.
Yeah, well, that's a separate question. But, I mean, I agree with you. They should have formed their own playoff a long time ago. The FCS has done it, and so it can be done. So but that's their decision to make. The Group of 5 can get together at any point and say, we're making our own playoff. They can do that anytime. There's nothing stopping them from doing that tomorrow.
And I mean, they should at least. I mean, I'm sure they don't have a crazy fan base, like the SEC or any Power 5 conference. But I mean, why not give them kids their own natty? You know what I mean? Like, there's no reason that they should go into a 12-team playoff to get their ass spanked by Georgia, Bama, Ohio State, somebody like that. I mean, they're not the same. It's nowhere close. I don't get it.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's not the same. It's not the same. But we keep wanting to pretend that it is, and as long as we're doing that, then I don't think you can exclude them. I think that you have to include them.
No, I get that. But what really kind of gets me going about it is like, what happens whenever, say, somehow a 9-3 Group of 5 team is the highest ranked Group of 5 team. I don't think that would happen, but let's just hypothetically. Mm-hmm. Is that going to shaft a 10-2 SEC or Big Ten team? You know what I mean? Like
maybe, but don't lose 2 games. I mean, I'm going to have zero sympathy for any team that doesn't make a 12-team playoff. None, not at all. How many times has Georgia finished 5th in the final playoff ranking of a 4-team playoff? Twice.
Yeah, I get that.
I think. And you know how many people had sympathy for Uncle Lou? None. I'm not going to have any sympathy at all for some shit team that loses 3 games and then cries because Tulane is in the playoffs. I'm not going to have, oh my God, we should have been the 12 seed. Why? So you can lose on Christmas instead of Tulane? You shouldn't have lost 2 or 3 games. So I'm not going to have any sympathy for any team, including Georgia. And I've got video evidence. I came on. I live streamed the playoff selection both times when Georgia came in 5th, and I said the same thing both times. Georgia should have won yesterday. That's what they should have done. Don't sit around today and cry that you're not in. You should have won yesterday, and you would have been in 2018 and 2019. All Georgia had to do was win. They couldn't do it, so don't sit around and cry about it. Do I think Georgia was better than Oklahoma that one year, or whatever team? Yes, of course I think they were better than Oklahoma and probably could have beat them. Doesn't matter. You lost yesterday. You should have won. Yesterday was a playoff game, and you lost. So I'm not going to have any sympathy at all for Ole Miss once every 6 years when they go 9-3. But oh my God, we didn't get into playoffs because Tulane won their conference and they're getting in, or SMU or whatever. No, I'm not going to have any sympathy at all. None.
I get it, man. That was just kind of my only gripe with it. And I'm all for the 12-team playoff. I love the idea of it.
I do too.
I want home field playoff games.
Isn't that going to be great?
Yeah, that's
obviously I want Georgia to go 1,000,000-0 every year, but that first year where Georgia doesn't win whenever it happens, where Georgia doesn't win the SEC and they don't get a bye and they end up hosting that first home playoff game, man. Mm-hmm. And not just Georgia. I mean, picture any picture like Ohio State last year is a great example. Ohio State last year would have hosted a home playoff game.
Yeah,
Can you? I mean, the atmosphere there. LSU probably would have played a road game in round 1, but Bama would have hosted. Tennessee would have hosted. Ohio State would have hosted. Probably TCU probably, but I mean these home playoff games around one are going to be unbelievable. The atmosphere around them is going to be unlike anything we've ever seen.
Just thinking about it, right now.
Yeah.
You know? But that's all I have, man.
All right, buddy.
Kind of wanted to say how.
Yeah, good call. No, I appreciate you calling in. Yeah, I don't like shitting on a group of five. I mean, I think the group of five should sort of separate itself. I don't think the Power Five. I don't think the Power Five wants to separate from the group of five because they don't want to be seen as pushing the group of five to the side or leaving the group of five behind. So I think the Power Five just continues to drag them along. And let's be honest, the group of five has yet to upset the apple cart. I mean, Cincinnati made the playoffs the one year, but they got blown out. It's not like group of five is ruining it for the Power Five in the postseason. So the Power Five is happy to just keep dragging the group of five along. I don't think the group of five is going to, or the Power Five is going to separate from the group of five because they don't want to be seen as leaving them behind. But I think the group of five should just say, forget it. We'll still play Power Five teams, once or twice a year or whatever. But as far as the postseason goes, the group of five can tell the playoff committee tomorrow, quit voting us in the playoff poll. We're doing our own thing in the postseason. There's nothing stopping them from doing that. It would benefit more teams. The only teams it would hurt, if you separated the Power Five and the group of five, I think the only teams it would hurt would be the top 1% of the group of five in any given year. Tulane, like last year, we wouldn't have got to see Tulane versus Southern Cal, which ended up being a great game, and Tulane pulled the upset, right? We wouldn't have got to see that because instead of Tulane playing Southern Cal and humiliating them on national TV on a holiday, we would have watched Tulane play whoever in a group of five playoff game. So the only teams that'll hurt is that upper echelon group of five who doesn't get the postseason crack at a big time team. But it would help almost everyone else in a group of five in terms of chances to make the postseason and things like that, right? Good morning, you're on with Uncle Lou. I think we just talked to you. Good morning, you're on with Uncle Lou.
What's going on, Uncle Lou?
Hey, what's up, buddy?
Yeah, good, man. What's going on with all the SEC teams hating on Florida right now, man? Why they hating on Florida?
That's a great question. I don't know. Why would it? I don't know why anybody would be hating on a 6-win program. I've got no idea.
They always hating on this. Mike the Tiger talking trash. The Kentucky man. When has Kentucky ever been relevant in football? That's a good question for everybody.
Yeah.
When has Kentucky been relevant in football? We have beaten them 30 times before they beat us the last couple of times here. And the Tennessee fans will always be second in the SEC. I'm just tired of the teams just knocking Florida. This is I love when they talk because this is the year the Gators is gonna come and show up and show out. That first game against Utah is gonna be the statement game for everybody to get put on notice that they better put some respect on the Florida Gators name. I'm tired of hearing the Georgia fans, the Bama fans, especially the Tennessee fans and the Kentucky fans that started to know. The Vandy fans know they place because they know they got an ass whooping coming.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is why I love the offseason. Like I said, everybody's undefeated right now. But Florida's going to be absolutely horrendous this year. They're just going to be terrible. They've got a little bit better chance of making a bowl game than Colorado.
Man, let's stop it, man. Stop it, man. We got a better chance of making a bowl than Tennessee.
Sir.
Tennessee. I thought we have a better chance of making the Orange Bowl than Tennessee has.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Yes, I believe it.
You're the only one that thinks that. I mean, you're the only one that thinks that. Tennessee's projected to win 10 games. You're projected to win 5. Tennessee's projected to win twice as many games as you. So just stop it.
That makes sense that we could beat Georgia this year. That's how confident, and we've been working. We've been slanging and banging iron all summer long.
Well, it's June. I know you're beating Georgia every June. So
no, we want the Georgia Bulldogs. We're not running from them. That's one team we won't be afraid of. Now Tennessee Volunteers, they got a little thing that they like to talk the trash. We gonna see how bad they talk trash at 7 o'clock that September night when they come down there in the swamp when they get they absolutely when they get their ass handed to them. And then for the LSU fan, Mike the Tiger, y'all got it coming too at Death Valley. I'm gonna say it on record. The Florida Gators will beat the LSU Tigers this year in Death Valley. My bookie.
So Florida's beating LSU, Georgia, Tennessee, and Utah. So who are they losing
Yeah.
to? So who are they losing to?
I'll admit it. Then we'll lose to the Shane Cox on some kind of upset kick or something like that. But other than that, I can see it. We can also see us losing to Arkansas. I say Arkansas in the Shane Cox. Other than that, we gonna beat Florida State. We got them at home. We got Texas A&M. We're gonna beat them. Missouri, who is them? Like Missouri, like they should go back to the Big 12 and we'll take another team. Vanderbilt, they know what's coming from them because they know they humiliated us last year. So they not gonna score nothing. That's a game that's gonna be a shutout game. Kentucky just sucks. Absolutely sucks. And then we're gonna run them out of Lexington. We're gonna run them out of Lexington. So look, I think we're going to the championship. We're going to the championship. We're gonna play either Bama or we're gonna play surprise team in the West, Ole Miss. Nobody's giving them props. Ole Miss is a team to watch in the West. Either Bama, Ole Miss, or LSU. And I hope to God we play LSU twice so we can beat them twice like they did. We owe LSU an ass whooping. We owe Georgia an ass whooping. We definitely owe the University of Tennessee an ass whooping. Mark my words. The Florida Gators will be back as SEC prominence. We will take back our spot. Nobody's coming for us. Nobody.
Except
Mark
Arkansas
our
and
words.
South Carolina, you said.
Arkansas and South Carolina. You mark it down. Uncle Lou, you mark it down on this word. South Carolina and Arkansas is the only team that's beating the Gators this year.
10-2 with
You mark
losses
it
to
up.
South Carolina and
10-2.
Arkansas. Wow.
And Arkansas, that's right. We go to Arkansas. You know that we don't really go out there and play. So that's gonna be a loss. And South Carolina, that's probably gonna be a little night game. And you know how South Carolina is at night games.
Five-star dummy. Yeah.
Yep. And I'm tired of this Georgia and Florida recruiting tactic. They got just because Florida didn't have a first round draft pick in the in the draft. You think Georgia? You think just because you're going to Georgia, think is something better?
Anthony
We
Richardson.
want out.
Anthony Richardson got drafted in the first round, sir. Five-star dummy.
Their defense alone. Didn't our defensive lineman make a statement talking about he picked Georgia because Florida didn't have a defensive lineman drafted in the first round?
I have no idea.
Well, he's going to be. I can't wait to play him. I hope the offensive line play that video the whole week and put it on his ass. Put it on him. And then for LSU just talk a lot of trash. I'll give them credit. They beat us in baseball. They did. We'll give them credit. But football, we're gonna make Brian Kelly shit his bed. We're gonna make Brian Kelly shit his bed. And for Josh Heupel, I ain't gonna lie. I like the guy. I like Tennessee's offense. I like how they do things in Tennessee. Just the fans, they get one good year and they talk a lot of shit. And then
Well, nobody likes
and then-
Tennessee fans, so you're not alone there.
And then Kentucky, like who do they have on their team? And the coach even I even read because I was staying in Lexington before I moved back to Florida. I read in the article that the coach was vividly upset with the team. There's some of that like the team that have no leadership, no nothing. They didn't even host a spring game. So they're telling you something, man. Kentucky's going to be straight horrible. They're going 2-10, and Mark Stoops is going to be fired, and he's
Kentucky's
going to be the
going
next
2-10.
2-10.
Five
I said it
star
correctly.
dummy.
2-10. 2-10.
And their only 2 wins are going to be against Tennessee and Georgia.
No. Their only 2 wins is going to be against Vandy and Missouri.
I thought you were taking the Florida approach where you said Florida's going 10-2 and losing to the 2 worst teams they play, and Kentucky's going 2-10 and beating the 2 best teams they play. 5 star dummy.
Kentucky sucks. Kentucky sucks. I just want to give a shout out to my friend George. Man, Gator Nation is rocking with you, man. Gator Nation is rocking with you this year, man. And Uncle Lou, I'm telling you now, October, when the Gators play the Bulldogs, when we win, I'm coming on the show, and I'm going to let it be known that Florida is back. You hear me?
I can't wait to have you on. It's going to be amazing. Thank you for the call, Octavian Kador. 5 star dummy. Sometimes things are so stupid you can't even get mad at it. I saw some of the comments going, well, this is going to be clipped out and put on video tomorrow. That's so beyond anything that could possibly make sense. It's not even worth getting riled up over. The thought that Florida's going 10-2 with losses to South Carolina and Arkansas. They're going to lose to South Carolina and Arkansas and not just get 1 big win, but get 4 big wins against the 4 best teams they play. They're going to beat all those teams. You know, they're going to beat Georgia. They're going to beat LSU. They're going to beat Tennessee. They're going to beat Florida State. No problem. 4 top 10 teams. No problem beating them. But they're going to lose to South Carolina and Arkansas, be 10-2, and then beat LSU again in an SEC title game before going on to play for the championship. Meanwhile, Kentucky is going 2-10. There was just so much going on. There was so much going on there. Yeah, it's almost hard to keep track. And when things are that out of whack, it's not even worth getting yourself worked up over. 5 star dummy. Devin S., thank you for the super chat. He says, sorry, I got in late tonight. Did you see where the Northwestern just fired their baseball coach? No, they didn't. I don't even know what baseball is. When it rains, it pours, I guess, like UGA and speeding issues. Yes. What basically amounts to decades of sexual assault at Northwestern with freshmen being forced to strip naked and rub their naked bodies against seniors who are also stripped or who are also naked. Yes, that's the same thing as a speeding ticket. You figured it out.
5 star caller.
Yeah, you figured it out. Turning all the lights off while the seniors wear purge masks and make all the freshmen get naked and run through a human dingling car wash. Yes, that's exactly the same as a speeding ticket. You figured it out.
5 star dummy.
Yeah. I don't know what's wrong with the Big Ten. There are some sicknesses in the Big Ten that I can't even begin to wrap my head around. And it's weird. Penn State. We all know about the Penn State thing. I don't even like talk. It makes me sick to even talk about the Penn State thing. But covering up child rape for decades, I don't get it. I don't understand how anybody involved in that entire situation ever slept another night in their life. But we all know what went on there. Ohio State. 177 cases over the last 40 years of male wrestling students sexually assaulted by the Ohio State wrestling coach. Almost 200 cases in a 40-year period. That's bordering on Catholic Church level abuse. The situation at Northwestern now, where you just got dozens of naked people running around slapping each other with their dinglings for fun. I don't get it. The Michigan State team doctor molesting female gymnasts for decades. I don't understand it. I don't understand. There's just a lot of weird sexual deviance. That seems to be attached to the Big Ten. It's very. I can't figure it out. I can't figure it out. But yeah, that all of that is the same as a speeding ticket.
5-star caller.
Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Oh, hey, Uncle Lou. How you doing today?
Doing good. How are you?
All right. I got good news for you. Last time I called, we finally got a new house, and when our house is getting rebuilt, so we found a new house.
Great. That's great news. Congratulations.
Yeah, I'm very happy about it. Now
Yeah,
we can
good.
start rolling on.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm sorry for the last couple callers, and especially that last one. I have no situation with him being a Gator fan. We don't even know what that is. So just ignore him. He's just a shadow, whatever he is. He's not a Gator fan. They're making us look bad. Making us look bad. And that Carson Beck guy, that's I don't know what he's mad about. How you gonna how the hell are you gonna judge a quarterback he didn't even play a game yet? So I mean that's questionable too. But it's getting crazy. I'm waiting for week 1. I'm ready. I've been looking at bet lines early. A game I would watch and work out for is Duke and Clemson.
Yes.
Yeah,
Me too.
dude, I don't care. I don't care what anybody says. Duke was good last year. They were 8-4.
Yeah.
And everybody's going to say, "Oh, they don't play a good schedule in their ACC." Like, no. Duke is good. They were on the level. I don't know if you remember this, but I think Duke was on that level last year where they played ACC championship versus Jameis Winston that year. That reminded me a lot back in those days when Duke was actually pretty good. I think they could be a challenge to Clemson if they don't watch out, man. Clemson got a lot of things to fix compared to last year. Dabo Swinney, Nick Saban, all them guys, they don't like the transfer portal. But if you don't adapt, you're going to fall behind. And George is doing a good job of that transfer portal. And everybody else is taking advantage of the transfer portal while the haters don't like it. They're falling behind. And
Yeah, I mean, look, if all the changes Clemson have made, particularly offensively, all work, and they all work immediately, Clemson will go into Duke and beat them by 2 or 3 touchdowns. If all the changes don't work, or if it takes the offense a couple of weeks to get up to speed, Duke is capable of beating them. Duke was a good team last year, like you mentioned. Their coaching staff is intact from last year. Their quarterback is back. 17 starters returned. They've got a good defensive line. If they can take advantage of Clemson's secondary and hit some big plays, I think they can hang in there with Clemson. I mean, they're an underdog for a reason. It would be a monumental upset if Duke were to beat Clemson in week 1. But
that'd be like Georgia Tech beating Jameis Winston that year.
Yeah.
That'd be like that.
I mean, weird
holy
things
cow.
happen. I mean, it would definitely be an upset. I mean, Clemson is favored by almost 2 touchdowns for a reason.
Oh,
But,
yeah.
if I mean, they're putting a lot of eggs in the Cade Klubnik basket. And I get it. You have to. What other choice do you have? You don't have another choice. Cade Klubnik didn't look great last year when we played. Now then they say, well, that was the offensive coordinator's fault, and now we have Riley. And that may, there's probably some truth to that. We're going to see how much of that is true this season. But, it's not unusual for it to take offenses a couple of weeks to get going in a college football season, especially when there's been a lot of changes from one year to the next. So you've got a new quarterback at Clemson. You've got new offensive coordinator. So we'll see. But Duke is a well-coached team. That Mike Elko, I think is his name. He knows what he's doing. I'm gonna go ahead and predict now. I don't think he's going to be at Duke for long. I think he's going to get a better job somewhere in the next couple of years. But if Clemson just walks into that game like it's a nothing game, I think Duke is capable of beating them. If Clemson's offense isn't ready to go.
And I feel bad for the small teams like Duke. When you have, and like Vanderbilt, when Vanderbilt had James Franklin and you got the Duke coach like you do now, and all them coaches in small schools and like loser schools, we think they're like, oh, they're going to go 2-10. And when they gather up a couple of 8-win seasons and you see them leave to another school, I feel bad for them because they actually have a good coach and, rally the troops and being a good coach and know what he's doing. So I feel bad for them when they do leave. I don't know how you feel about that, but I do feel bad for them, like Duke and Vanderbilt when they do leave, though.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how they do. I think they were 5-0 at one point last year. Duke. They were either 4-0. You remember Duke and Kansas played like in week 4 or 5, and they were both undefeated. It was unbelievable. We talked about it a lot on this channel. Like, oh my God, Duke and Kansas are playing a month into the season, and they're both undefeated. This is weird.
What's weird is Kansas quarterback was #1 in quarterback rating last year.
Yeah. He got hurt. That hurt. And, you know, that's the thing with teams like we mention this all the time. But teams like Kansas, you know, they don't have the depth that the other teams have. So when they get a really good player, if that really good player gets hurt, it impacts them way more than it impacts, you know, your average team. And Kansas was done for once that quarterback went down.
Oh, yes, it impact the whole team.
Yeah.
But, like, again, it's not no iron team, and they got to level up. But when you got that one superstar, you got all you got.
Yeah.
But I want to say 2 more things here before I let you go. I want to talk about LSU. A lot of people talking nonsense about LSU. Florida's not going to beat LSU. I don't care. No. I'm a Gator fan. I'm going to tell it straight. LSU is dangerous. I think they're back.
Isn't that game at LSU, too?
What now?
Isn't the game at LSU this year?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it is.
I can't really sure. No, yeah. Because last year was in Gainesville.
Yeah,
last year was in Gainesville. So I will come up with a stat. It's going to be interesting, and I think it'd be interesting to you. If you look at the championships LSU does have, it's been year 2 guys like Nick Saban, year 2. Les Miles, year 2, or year 3. Then you got Ed Orgeron, year 2. Well, this is Brian Kelly's 2nd year. Or it could be in his 3rd year, he might win a championship. So LSU is going to be good. And the LSU starting quarterback, I forgot his dang name though, but his backup, when he played Georgia last year in the SEC championship, he filled in.
Yeah,
he's just as good. I think he's better.
Yeah, well, a different style of quarterback. Jaden Daniels could run around and do a lot of things with his legs that Nussmeier can't do. Not that Nussmeier's a statue, but he can't run around like Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels got to get a little bit better throwing the ball. He was okay last year. He wasn't great, you know, but he was very dangerous with his legs. Georgia took that away, and then he wasn't able to finish the game, of course, unfortunately. And Nussmeier came in and lit Georgia up. Yeah, but yeah, he's got an arm on him. That Nussmeier, he can throw the ball. He's a future NFL quarterback for sure. Nussmeier might have a better NFL future than Jaden Daniels. But like we talked about earlier, these are college teams, not NFL teams. And what makes you a great or good or great quarterback in college doesn't always mean you're going to be a great NFL quarterback, and vice versa. I mean, you know, Matthew Stafford didn't necessarily light the world on fire at UGA, but he was the #1 pick in the NFL draft. He's gone on to win a Super Bowl, quickest quarterback in the history of mankind to 40,000 yards, future Hall of Famer. Tim Tebow was the best college quarterback some of us have ever seen. Can't complete a pass in the NFL.
Hell no.
One is not always translate to the other. You know, a lot of quarterbacks in college are system QBs. A lot of these colleges have coaches that run a particular offensive system, and they get a quarterback in there that can thrive in that. But they get to the NFL where they have to run a pro-style offense, and they can't read a defense or whatever the case. So we'll see. But Nussmeier, to me, looks like a future NFL quarterback. Not to say that Jaden Daniels can't be or couldn't be, but Jaden Daniels, in my mind, needs to get a little bit better throwing the ball. And LSU would be a dangerous team.
At some points during that SEC championship game, I thought it gave you a lot of trouble at one. You know, not the whole game because it got out of control.
Yeah,
later.
No, Nussmeier was picking us apart. Jaden Daniels didn't know where he was at. Jaden Daniels was deer in headlights. Now he was hobbled heading into that game. He was hurt a little heading into that game, and then Georgia just finished him off. I mean, they couldn't. The offensive line couldn't protect him. And look, I'm not gonna. When you're beating a team by 30 points at halftime, it's hard to look at the second half of that game and judge it at face value. With that being said, those were Georgia starters in the game. You know, it's not like Nussmeier was lighting up 4th stringers. Those were Georgia starters. That was Christopher Smith getting beat in the end zone on that touchdown pass. That was Malachi Starks getting a ball thrown over his head. I mean, Nussmeier played great in the second half of that game. Now, you know, so people can make of that what they want. If Nussmeier had started the game, would he have done that well in the first half? No, he wouldn't have. Because Georgia would have prepared for that. Georgia's got an issue defensively. Georgia's pretty good at neutralizing a team's starting quarterback for the most part. There's been 1 or 2 exceptions over the years, but if you switch up quarterbacks at halftime against Georgia, you got a pretty good chance of beating them.
That is kind of weird, though. But I want to say one more thing, though, about Florida. And I'm going to recorrect what this last man said about our Gators and all his nonsense of beating everybody. Uh, I'm going to see if we can beat Utah again, and we got a pretty good chance about it. I mean, Utah, Utah is a very slow starter of a team, especially the last couple of years. Yeah, they got Cameron Rising, but they've been very slow. I don't know what's with Utah the last
It's
couple of
true.
years. And they'd be 0-2, 0-3. All of a sudden, it's like 9-3 at the end of the year, and they're beating everybody. So we got a shot again. But if you look at where we're playing, it's going to be a higher climate and stuff like that, a higher elevation. We never played like that ever.
Yeah.
When you see Utah never went to Florida in the swamp, they were sweating. You
Yeah.
should have seen the coach of Utah over there, Whitneham. He was sweating pools, man.
Right.
I laughed at that. But I think we can beat Utah. But LSU, Georgia, I don't think we're going to even come close. Maybe in the halftime, might be like down by 7, but it'd probably get out of control later. FSU could be a head flip. We don't know. That game's always been tight, and I think we should have won last year. We didn't screw up so much versus FSU. Kentucky, we better win. Tennessee, I think we can beat Tennessee. I don't know what's with Tennessee's defense sometimes. They're just as bad as our defense at times. If you look the whole year last year, Tennessee defense was not that good except for that LSU game. And they're just as bad as Florida, so it could be running up to 60 again.
Wow.
I think we could beat Tennessee and Kentucky. We should beat Vanderbilt. I think we'd be like an 8-4 team. We'd probably lose to Arkansas. And that's
8-4 would be amazing.
No, oh yeah, 8-4. This is the max, and we're not going past 8-4 for sure. I'm not going to be one of them Gator callers. Be like, oh, we're going to go 11-1. We're going to go 10-2. We don't have the players for that.
Right.
We had the players back in 2020. If we could have been in the playoffs the first time, we didn't throw the damn shoe.
Yeah.
But thank you for letting me call on here, Uncle Lou.
Yeah, buddy. Good to hear from you, man. We'll talk to you next time. Good call. That was a good call. That was a reasonable, rational human being.
5-star caller.
That was a reasonable and rational human being. All right, the back room is full. We're gonna get all these calls, I promise. We'll stay on until there's no callers left. But we've been going for an hour and a half. I have to take a pee break. It'll only take me about 60 seconds, and I'll be right back. Let's see what you want to. What is this? All right, give me about 60 seconds. We'll get right back to the calls.
It's party time. Oh, it's party time. What these bitches want from a nigga? Party. Come on. What these bitches want from a nigga?
This is a gem. This is a gem you've got to hear.
What these bitches want from a nigga?
DJ Alcazar, you're my mix master.
Dog, I meet bitches, discreet bitches, street bitches, slash, Cocoa Puff, sweet bitches, make you wanna eat bitches, but not me. Y'all niggas eat off the plate all you want, but not D. I fucks with these hoes from a distance. The instant they start to catch feelings, I start to stealing they shit. Then I'm out just like a thief in the night. I sink my teeth in the bite. You thinking life, I'm thinking more like what's up tonight. Come on, ma, you know I got a wife. And even though that pussy tight, I'm not gonna jeopardize my life. Right. So what is it you want from a nigga? What? I gave you, you gave me. Bitch, I blazed you, you blazed me. Nothing more, nothing less. But you at my door, willing to confess that it's the best you ever test. Better than all the rest. I'm like, all right, girlfriend, hold up. I gave you what you gave me, boo. Enough. What these bitches want from a nigga? Really want. What these bitches want from a nigga? Yeah. What these bitches want from a nigga? What you want from me? Baby, tell me what you want from me. There was Brenda, Letitia, Linda, Felicia, Dawn, LaShawn, Inez, and Alicia, Teresa, Monica, Sharon, Nikki.
All right.
Big hand, cookies. Well, I met her in the ice cream parlor.
All right. Yeah, I met her in the ice cream parlor. Yes. Fourth best place to pick up women, the ice cream parlor. Anybody know the first three best? Where's the top three places to pick up women? Top three. Well, I won't say the best, but the top three easiest. So where's the 3 easiest places to pick up women? Who can tell me in the comments section when we get back to the phone calls? 3 easiest places to pick up women. Who can name all 3? I see some people are naming one of them. Who can name all 3? Nobody? Nobody wants to name all 3, huh? No? Jacob says wedding, funeral, and something else. Nope. Weddings, bars, swimming pools, no. Grocery store, church, wedding. One of those is correct. One of those is correct. Kroger and a Goodwill, nope. VicTube, there you go. VicTube's got the correct answer. The bus station, the bowling alley. Nope, VicTube does not have the correct answer. You got 2 of them, Vic. Bus station and bowling alley. That's 2 of them. That's 2 of them. The bus station and the bowling alley are 2 of them. The third one is what? Somebody said prison. Wow. Yeah. Remember, we're talking about the easiest places to pick up women. You ever been to a bus station? Somebody says bus station, question mark. Yeah, you ever been to the bus station? Desperate people there. Desperate people there. Divorce court. Matt Dummett got it. Church. That's right. Church, the bowling alley, the bus station, and church. 3 easiest places to pick up women. All right. Let's get back to the phone calls before everyone unsubscribes. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou. Is there anything you'd like to say? Or just breathe in the background? Okay. I'll put you in the back room. You can breathe back there all you want. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, it's calling in again. Tennessee fan right here.
Great news.
Yeah. All these Florida fans thinking they're beating Tennessee is just I don't get it.
I don't get it either. Tennessee's beating Florida by 40. I've been saying it since January, and I'm not changing my mind.
I don't understand. No, you don't have a chance. No, I don't care that it's in the swamp.
Yeah, the people tell you, Lou just hates Florida. Yeah, and I love Tennessee. You figured it out. No, Tennessee's just way better, and Tennessee's going to beat Florida by 40. It's that simple. So I agree with you. Yeah.
And that one guy saying they have a better chance of making the Orange Bowl than Tennessee is just, I don't get that at all.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Probably winning.
Guy's out of his mind, thinking Florida's going 10-2. I mean, that might be. That's the most ridiculous thing I've heard, except for the people that think Colorado's winning a national title.
Yes, I agree 100%. And if Tennessee's up big week 1, do you think, like, they play Virginia? I expect them to roll. And, like, say they are up, like, 28, 35 points. Do you expect them to put Nico in?
Against Florida?
No, against Virginia.
I would. I'd play Nico in the fourth quarter of every game where I had a 3-touchdown lead or more.
I agree.
And depending on the opponent, I'd even put him in. So like what are the who are the group of 5 teams you play? Like is it Ball State or wherever? I don't know who it is, but
UTSA.
Yeah, like
Austin Peay.
Like you'll probably be beating them by 40 at halftime. But like even if you're only up 14, I'd put Nico in the second half of those games too. I think Nico should get as much experience as possible this season.
Just let him learn and. Like,
yeah, maybe they let Joe Milton play the entire Virginia game because it's been a while since he's played other than the Orange Bowl, he's only played one entire game in the last 2 years or whatever. So maybe you let Joe Milton play the whole game against Virginia. I don't know, but especially those group of 5 games though. Nico's I would think would play a lot in the second half. On the road at Florida in the swamp, I don't know if we'll see him there. Even if Tennessee's up 40, I don't know that we'll see him there. But I think you'll see a lot of Nico in the second half of Tennessee blowouts. At least I would expect to. I would think that would be the plan. Would be let's get Nico because no matter whether Joe Milton is the best quarterback in college football this year or the worst. This is his last year. He's out of eligibility after this year. So it's going to be Nico next year. I would think the clear plan would be to get him as much experience as possible this season. And even if that experience only comes in the second half of blowouts, it's still experience that he doesn't have, So I would expect to see a lot of Nico.
And he's gonna be really good. I think he's gonna be really good. He's just gotta learn. He's not ready.
Yeah.
As a first year, and I've seen a bunch of Tennessee fans be like, "Make his first career start against Georgia." I'm like, no.
Yeah, that's the worst idea I've ever heard.
No, don't put him in against Georgia. No.
Yeah, that's the worst idea I've ever heard.
That'd kill the kid. It wouldn't. It'd just be bad.
Dan Mullen did that with Anthony Richardson, and he never recovered.
Yeah, it
ruined him.
It's like playing an NFL defense. They're good. And you talked about like taking tight ends in the top 10.
Yeah, I just don't. If I ran an NFL franchise, which I don't, never will, but and obviously they're smarter than I am. But if I ran an NFL franchise right now, the way the NFL is structured and set up, I can't imagine a scenario where I take any tight end or any running back in the top 10 ever.
Well, and the Falcons have done both of those.
Yes, and how's that worked out?
Not good, and I'm a Falcons fan, so. But I'm more of a college football fan, but my favorite NFL team is. I'd rather Tennessee win a national championship than the Falcons win a Super Bowl. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
Just how I'm. But, and like, I just think Tennessee's going to be really good. And I'm going to be at that Georgia game. I'm not expecting us to beat Georgia, but I do think it'll be a really good ball game.
Yeah. I think it will too. I think it'll be a really good game.
And I'm happy that I got tickets to it. It's going to be a fun one.
Yeah. It'll be one of the most watched games this season, period. It'll be top 5. Yeah, it's going to be good.
It's going to be great. Well, thanks for letting me call.
Yeah, buddy.
I'll call in next week.
Yeah, man, it was good to hear from you, man. I'm glad you took the time to call in. Thank you for waiting. I know it's a long hold time for some of you. I'm trying to run through these calls as quick as I can so that you don't have to wait forever. But because people wait a long time, I also don't like to rush them off the call. So I try to. It's a delicate balance for Uncle Lou in that. Good morning, but you're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, Lou, I just had a quick top 5 list for you to discuss with. So I got the top 5 college football program fan bases that think their natties help them currently.
Okay.
So I got number 5, Alabama.
Okay.
Number 4, Ohio State. Number 3, Notre Dame. Number 2, Florida Gators. And number 1 is the Miami man.
As soon as you said it, the two teams that immediately popped into my head were Notre Dame and Miami. Those definitely belong on the list. Alabama's a weird one because they're on the list kind of for a different reason. Unlike the other teams, they're great today, and they've won a bunch of national titles today, like in modern times. But yeah, for whatever reason, they still feel the need to run around and yell at everybody that they've won 25 fake national titles. It's weird, but yeah, they're on that. They appear to be on that list too. Yeah, that's interesting. I like that list.
Imagine being an Ohio State fan, only winning 2 natties in 40 years.
Not
Georgia.
More than that. Man. I mean, it's 2 natties in 52 years or something like that. I think they won one in. They got 2014, 2002, and 1970 or something like that. So it's like 2 natties in the last 52 years. And one of those natties was, they like to talk about Georgia winning a natty because they didn't call a targeting or whatever. How about the Ohio State natty that they won on a phantom pass interference call? They don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about the referees when it comes to that because they won that game. But when it comes to this last playoff game, though, it's all because they didn't call the targeting. But they don't want to talk about that pass interference call against Miami. They don't want to talk about that.
And imagine being an Ohio State fan and being owned by Dabo Swinney.
Oh, my God. What? Say that again. How about South Carolina? They're owned by them. They're owned by the Gamecock. Look, and this guy, every time I talk about this, some Ohio State fan brings up, I don't know how many times I can explain this to people. If Southern Cal loses a game this year, whoever beats them, that's a win against the Pac-12. Okay?
That's true. That's true.
When Southern Cal joins the Big Ten next year, that win that someone has this year against Southern Cal doesn't suddenly become a win against the Big Ten. That's not how it works.
It's individual.
These Ohio State fans running around, oh, well, we beat Missouri 9 times when they were in the Big 12, and now they're in the SEC, so that's 9 more SEC wins that we have. No, it's not. It's not. You're 5-13 against the SEC. You're 5-13 against the SEC. I don't care how mad. If it makes you mad, then start winning some of these games instead of losing them. But you're 5-13 against the SEC. You don't beat a team in the Big 12 and then 40 years later claim that as a win against the SEC. That's not how it works. I mean, under what? I don't. The delusion that these people operate in is mind-bending.
I got to deal with
and hair-raising and head-scratching. It makes no sense to me. So what the Ohio State man is telling me, I don't know how many games Southern Cal has lost in their existence. Let's say it's 500. I don't know what the number is. Let's say Southern Cal in their history has lost 500 games. Are you telling me that effective September 1st of next year, the Big Ten is gaining 500 losses? No. No. This is insanity. But the Ohio State man, like they do it to make themselves feel better. They suffer from little man syndrome. The reality is Kentucky's got a better winning percentage all time against the SEC than Ohio State does. That's just a fact. Ohio State has a 28% winning percentage against the SEC all time. Kentucky's at 32%. Kentucky has better luck against the SEC all time than Ohio State does. That's just a fact. I know it's a fact that makes Ohio State look bad because it is bad. But that doesn't mean you get to twist data from 40 years ago. Beating Texas A&M, beating like Ohio State beat Oklahoma like 5 years ago. That doesn't become an SEC win next year. Dummy. It will always be a win against the Big 12. I don't understand. I swear I don't get it. I don't understand. Ohio State's a decent team in a decent program right now. A blue blood. I mean, so, but, and look, every fan base does this in some kind of way, but you don't have to be good or great or the best in everything, and you're not. Not every Georgia player is the best at their position in the entire country, but you got some Georgia fans think they are. Ohio State is 5-13 against the SEC. That doesn't take away from whatever accomplishments you've had over the course of your history as a program, Ohio State man, sucknut man. All it means is you're 5-13 against the SEC. You don't get to go back 50 years when you beat some team that wasn't in the SEC, but then later joined the SEC, and now you go, oh, yeah, we just miraculously. That's like in 1982 when Bear Bryant died and the Alabama man was sad as fuck and drowning in his Frosted Flakes. They go, well, you know what would make me feel better? Let's claim 6 more national titles out of the blue. So that's what they did. Like 1982, January of 1983, Bear Bryant dies. Alabama man goes back in time and claims 6 national titles. And up until that point, they had never claimed before. But all of a sudden now we got to claim it because, Bear Bryant died. Okay. And that's what Ohio State man is trying to do by going back in time and claiming an SEC win by beating a team that wasn't in the SEC. It's pitiful.
I got to deal with them on a daily basis, man. It's awful.
You need to change your routine or something. I don't know how you.
I'm the only Georgia fan up here. I'm the only Georgia fan up here. I'm starting a little Georgia fan club up here in Indiana.
Be all riled up.
Yep. Man, those Ohio State fans, man. All right, I'll catch you later, man.
All right, buddy. Thanks for calling in. I appreciate it. It was good to hear from you, Eli. Hook'em777. Good morning.
Hey, man, you can hear me?
Yes, sir.
How are you doing today? First time caller over here.
Yeah, appreciate you coming on.
Yes, sir. From Texas Land. Discovered your channel about a year ago. Pretty awesome. Not only for the fact that you're brutally honest, but a bit of an asshole in the world today. So I
Appreciate
appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
From a Texas fan, a couple questions from you, man. I got like 3 or 4, and I'll be fast because I had a 3-year-old, and there's a lot of people who are in here want to get on. But
I understand.
one, back when Georgia played Texas in the Sugar Bowl, which I know is kind of it was a meh game for me because Georgia obviously wasn't really into that game. But what were your thoughts when Bevo attacked Uga?
Yeah.
And was there a lot of backlash from the fans to Georgia during that for those two being so close together? I found it hilarious. Thankfully, nothing happened.
Yeah, I think it's well, I have a couple of different things. Like there's been some Texas fans that have used that as trash talk. I don't really get that. I mean, you're talking about a 1,500-pound nutless cow, versus a 30-pound overweight bulldog with legs this long. Like what do you think's going to happen in that type of scenario? I don't really know that that's something to brag about. I don't understand. I mean, I guess somebody said, "Hey, this would make a great photo op. Let's get these, let's get these two next to each other." Obviously, in hindsight, it was a terrible idea. Now, I'm not one of these. My buddy Pigskin Pete, he doesn't think any team should have live mascots. He's like against that totally. I don't. I'm not I'm not against. I don't have any problem. I've talked about this before. The first Georgia game I ever went to was in it was either 1988 or 1989. We played Baylor in Athens. They had a fucking bear on a leash.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was 9 or 10 years old at the time, and it blew my mind that there is someone literally walking a big black bear up and down the sideline. Now that they don't do that anymore, Baylor doesn't. But like, like PETA, and I'm an animal lover. I'm a sucker for animals. Like those commercials that come on TV, I got to turn them off, or I'd be done called and gave them all my money and stuff like that. I'm a sucker for animals. But I'm not one of these PETA people either. Like, I don't,
a lot of people have to understand too that these animals they're treated like gods.
Uga is treated better than most children I know. Yeah, the Georgia mascot, So yeah, I'm not one of these people that now we got to get rid of Bevo because he tried to attack Uga or something. No, I mean, in hindsight, like I said, maybe it wasn't that great of an idea to put them so close to each other, But like, I don't think anybody should be fired for that. I don't think now we can't have mascots because of that. Nothing like that. I kind of just chalked it up as.
I'll start off with something little fucking ridiculous and funny. Or excuse me, so a little funny and ridiculous. But last year I'll just wrap it up. 2 football questions. One, Texas this year. So a lot of the media and everything, everybody's like Texas back, all that BS, which I hate. I'm a lifelong 30+ year fan. I hate hearing Texas is back. I hate hearing, because I'm a true believer of you got to prove it on the field. We've been down since Mac has been fired. You can see it in the athletes, the blue star, blue chips, whatever you call it. This year is the first year that it feels like 04 for me, where we go to Arkansas, second game of the year, and we have a great year. We have a slip up in the middle of the year, and then we end up going to the Rose Bowl, beat Michigan, leaps us into 05, which should be SEC for next year. But most fans are optimistically positive. Cautiously optimistic is what I'm trying to say for this season. What are your thoughts on? I think Texas could be as good as 4th and sneak their way into the playoffs, and I also could see Texas 8-4, 9-3, Big 12 championship bust, and I could see Texas 75. I don't know. I'm like a bleed orange, but it hurts. And then the last thing I'll ask you. And I'll wrap up and let you answer these and get somebody else on. This going to hurt some, hopefully, A&M fans who are in the chat. But out of the 3 schools I'm going to give you right now, if you could fast forward in time, 2035, if we're all still around, who has more SEC championships, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, or Texas? And I appreciate your answers, man. I hope you have a good night.
All right, buddy. Yeah, thanks for the call. Those are good questions. Right now, I would take Texas. And it's hard to forecast that many years in the future. But I would, as far as the 2035 question, I just think Texas is better positioned right now than either of those 2 teams. Talent wise, I think Texas and Texas A&M are pretty close. The problem is, and I know Sarkisian hasn't done it yet, but he hasn't been around as long as Fisher. I mean, Fisher's been at Texas A&M now for what, 7, 8 years, whatever it's been, and done absolutely nothing. whereas Sarkisian is only heading into his third year. So I would probably pick Texas over A&M and Oklahoma in terms of how, who's going to be the best over the first 10 years they're in the SEC or whatever. As far as Texas' chances this year or next year, it's a little weird. I think Texas has a better chance of making the 4-team playoff this season than they do of making the 12-team playoff next season. And obviously it's going to be easier to make a 12-team playoff than it is a 4-team. So it sounds a little weird to put it that way, but Texas is losing a lot after this year. They've got one of the, if not the, probably second best, third best maybe, wide receiver group in the country. Going to lose the majority of those after this season. They're most likely losing Quinn Ewers. And I know they have Arch Manning, but it's like we talked about Carson Beck earlier. You can be high as a kite on Carson Beck if you want. Until you watch him play a game, you don't really know what you're going to get. And it's kind of the same thing with Arch Manning. And I know they got the other guy there too. What's his name? The one, is it Malik or whatever his name is? But so anyway, but they're losing a lot. And this year they're loaded. And I like the way their schedule sets up this year. I think anything short of a Big 12 title for Texas this year is a massive disappointment. And I know they've been projected a few times in the past to win the Big 12 and have come up short. I think this would be the biggest disappointment of the last 10 years if Texas didn't somehow win the Big 12 this year. Oklahoma, they may not be as bad as they were last year, but they're not on Texas level. Not right now. Not year 2 under Venables. Texas should beat them again. TCU should take a step back. They lost their 2 best players and their offensive coordinator. I think Kansas State will be good again. I think Texas Tech will be good again. But outside of that, Kansas, no. Baylor, no. West Virginia is probably the worst team in the league. And then you got 4 teams who were a group of 5 teams last year. Texas should win the Big 12 this year. And will they make the playoffs? I'm not convinced of that. But they should win the Big 12. But I think they've got a better chance of making a 4-team playoff this year than making a 12-team playoff next year. That's about the best way I could put all that. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Morning, Uncle Lou. How you doing?
Good.
Awesome. Well, I just had a question for you. I'm 21, so I've been watching college football for the past 8-9 years, and I was just wondering, can you recall a player that has had a touchdown in 3 national championship games? Because I was thinking about it, Devontae Smith, I believe, had 2 touchdowns in 2 different national championship games and played in the 3rd, but didn't have a touchdown. But I'm wondering, a USC team or an Alabama team in the past, could you maybe remember any player with 3?
Man, that's hard to do for obvious reasons. Number one, you have to be on a team that plays in 3 national championship games. And number 2, a lot of players now leave after their 3rd year. So in a lot of cases, you would have to play in 3 straight national title games, not even like a 3 out of 4 scenario. Because a lot of times, if you play in a natty game as a freshman, then you're and then you're gone after your 3rd year. Maybe they miss one and make it the 4th year when you're gone. So it's hard to do. I don't know. I would assume there is one. I would assume there's an Alabama player maybe that has scored in 3.
Smith was the only one that I could think of. I mean, I know that's recent, but he just what you said about playing in 3 national championships, not even just winning, but playing.
Playing in 3 is hard enough.
Alabama is the only team I could think of that could consistently enough have a roster that could do it.
Did Brock score in the first 2 national championship
He did, and
games?
that's where I'm going with it. I think he's.
I know AD Mitchell did, but he's gone. So.
Yep, AD and Ladd's still here, but he didn't have a touchdown in the first one.
Right.
Those were the 3 guys I was kind of thinking about, and Brock's got a chance to do it. And I mean, you never want to assume somebody's going to go to the national championship game, but you might as well pick the betting favorite, if somebody's going to do it this year. I think he's got a great shot to do it, and I just think that'd be something that the so-called sports journalists are going to be saying in a couple months once they start winning some games. But I figured I'd come on.
That's a good that's a good sports bar trivia question or a Jeopardy question 10 years from now or something who's the only college football to score a touchdown at 3 national championship games or something like that. If that were to happen, that's good.
I think Bowers is going to have obviously a lot of accolades by the time he leaves, but just something else to just put him above maybe anybody else in college football. He's a historic player for us, and I just think that's pretty sick.
Yeah.
And I'll just leave you with one question. I know Dominic Lovett's coming in, and we're getting a lot of buzz around him.
Mm-hmm.
Just wondering, who do you think's going to have the bigger year between him and Ladd McConkey? Because I know, Ladd, he finished the year out really strong.
Yeah.
He probably got thrust into that wide receiver 1 role a little bit sooner in that season. That's why he struggled a little bit last season at the start, but like really started coming to his own at the end of last year, maybe around the Tennessee game. But like,
yeah,
he
had a really good
he's
year.
So dynamic, but I just think they're going to be a great duo. But I'm just kind of curious.
I'll go with Ladd just because transfers have had a hard time showing up.
Yeah.
And making an immediate impact at UGA. We always kind of expect it to happen. We expected it with JT Daniels, and it never really materialized. We obviously expected it with Eric Gilbert. Yeah, it never materialized at all.
Yeah.
What's that defensive back we got from West Virginia 3 years ago that yet to start a game? Yeah, Tyke Smith was an All-American 3 years ago at West Virginia.
Yeah, it's his year this
Comes to Athens and can't get on the field. It's been, it's his third year now. He'll play this year. Yeah. So now I do think Dominic Lovett will play. And obviously certain positions like wide receiver, Georgia's going to play 7-8 wide receivers, right? It's not like Eric Gilbert where he's coming in and he's sort of behind Brock Bowers and Darnell Washington. And how many tight ends really can you play over the course of a game, So, but with wide receiver, Georgia rotates, 5. If you're a healthy wide receiver at Georgia, you're probably going to play in the first half. That's the way they rotate them in and out, So I do think Dominic Lovett will play. I don't think it'll be a situation where he just kind of gets brushed aside. I think he'll play a lot. But as far as yards between him and Ladd, or production between him and Ladd, I'll take Ladd.
I could definitely see it. Ladd really impressed me at the end. I think he's going to go higher in the draft. And people are already starting to talk about it now, but I think he's just kind of grown into a grown man's body, I guess, and just tearing it up. But
yep. And guess where he wanted to go to play college his entire life?
Tennessee, if I remember correctly.
And they wouldn't give him the time of day.
Yeah.
What a shame.
Yeah, we got lucky with him for sure.
Yeah.
It was good talking to you.
Yeah, you too, buddy.
Have a good night,
Yeah,
sir.
appreciate you coming on, man. Good to hear from you. I should have done this for the last caller, too. So this is for the last 2 callers.
5-star caller.
Yeah, I have a bad habit of giving all the dumb callers all the attention with the 5-star deal with the dummy routine, but sometimes you just get an actual 5-star caller, and we've had several of those today. Good morning, but you're on with Uncle Lou, though.
Octavian Cater, when he was on, was telling me about how much I hate Florida, and I have no reason to hate Florida. We beat them every year. I'm just trying to tell him that Florida's not going infinity or whatever. 10-2s in Arkansas and South Carolina, whatever nonsense.
Yeah, that was the dumbest call of the day, no doubt about it. And you're right, they're not beating LSU this year. Not because LSU has dominated them over the last decade, but it is true that LSU has dominated them over the last decade. They're not beating LSU this year because LSU is good and Florida's not. The game's at LSU, but yeah, I think LSU is 7-3 against Florida in the last 10 years.
Yeah. Actually, 8-2 in the last 10 years, 9-3 in the last 12, 10-3 since Tebow graduated.
Wow.
And
12-2 since Tebow graduated.
It's true. Florida, they'd be lucky to make a bowl game. They'd have to beat Vandy, Charlotte, McNeese, Arkansas, Missouri, and split with Kentucky and South Carolina to make a bowl game. And I don't think I think they're losing to Kentucky, South Carolina, and Missouri, going 4-8.
Yeah, look, South Carolina or Florida's win total is at 5 or 5.5 for a reason, and the reason is the majority of people don't expect Florida to be any good at all. Now, could they win 8 games? Of course they could. We see weird shit in college football every single year. TCU was picked, next to last in the Big 12 last year? They made the national championship game. I'm not saying Florida's going to do that, but so in order to believe that Florida's going to have a good season, the only argument you really can make is the, anything can happen argument. Because you can't really use any logic or reason to try to describe why you think Florida might go 10-2. There is no logic or reason to suggest that. Their quarterback situation is a complete and total mess. They were a good running team last year, but they lose 4 of their 5 offensive linemen, and they lose a running quarterback, which helps every running game. Graham Mertz isn't giving you that. Their defense will be a little bit better than last year, but it was one of the worst in the SEC last year. So it's not like it's going to suddenly be top 5. It'll be better than last year. It won't be great. And their schedule is tough. They play Tennessee, top 10 team. Georgia, top 10 team. LSU, top 10 team. Florida State, they play 4 top 10 teams, and they're losing all 4 of them. So the success or failure of Florida season is not going to come down to whether or not they can beat Georgia, LSU, Florida State, or Tennessee, because they can't. The success or failure of Florida season is going to come down to whether or not they can beat Kentucky, South Carolina, Missouri, and Vandy. How well do they do against those 4? Because they're losing to those top 10 teams. And what they do against South Carolina, Mizzou, Kentucky, and Vandy will be the determining factor between whether or not they make a bowl game at 6-6 or 7-5, or whether or not they have their 3rd straight losing season and go 5-7.
Yeah, like Florida last year, they struggled to make a bowl game with the quarterback that went 4th in the draft. He's gone, and now you have the guy who, I mean, yeah, he didn't do much in college, and you just wasted him. Well, that was Dan Mullen.
Right.
Starting him against Georgia.
Completely wasted him. You're 100%
And now
correct.
you get the guy who got Paul Chris fired from Wisconsin.
Yep.
The schedules this year is harder than last year. 2024 is going to be harder. If they don't fire Sunbelt Billy this year, they're going to go into next year anyway.
Right. Yeah. Look, Florida's down bad, and the fans are down worse. So, I mean, the guy called in with a top 5 list earlier. If you were going to make like a top 5 list of things that are down real bad, number 2 on the list would be the Florida Gators, and number 1 on the list would be the Florida Gator fans.
Are you going to clip his call and put that on the channel as a separate video tomorrow?
I don't know. I usually turn the call-in show on when I get up the following morning while I'm making coffee or doing whatever I'm doing in the morning. And I usually re-listen to the calls. I'll forward through some of the calls or whatever, and I usually make that decision in the morning. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Well, that's about all.
All right, buddy. I appreciate you coming on, man. Good to hear from you. Good luck to LSU this year. I've got LSU at 11-1, so I've already done an LSU prediction video. So I'm high on LSU. I've got them at 11-1. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
What's up, Lou? How you doing?
Hey, I'm good, buddy. How are you?
I'm good. Well, fortunately, or maybe unfortunately, you got the biggest FSU fan on the stream here. But I'm not here to talk about FSU or about how pitiful UF or Miami is going to be.
Okay.
I'm here to talk about how an issue for all of our fan bases is that the recent rule changes with the clock. So we know that they changed one of the rules to where it's going to be a running clock after a first down, unless it's like late in the game or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think, and we all know that they're just trying to make more time for commercials. So do you think we're going down a slippery slope here? They're just going to make these rule changes every year to make less? Because they're not going to, I mean, it's still going to be a 60-minute ball game technically.
Right.
But, I mean, we all know they're trying to make more money for their advertisers. So do you think we're just kind of on a slippery slope now? Or what are your thoughts on this new rule change?
I don't have a big problem with the rule changes. I mean, the NFL has done a lot of this too. I don't know that we're going to see more commercial breaks as a result of this. I think we're going to see the same amount of commercial breaks. That they're trying to get the games closer to 3 hours than 4. That's what they're trying to do, and it's a problem. It's a big problem. Now, I think it's easy for us to say, well, do one less commercial break or 2 less commercial breaks over the course of the game.
They'll never do that.
They're just not going to do. Yeah, once they have X number of commercial spots or whatever, they're going to keep doing that. But it is a problem. Like, you got games that come on at noon and games that come on at 3:30. And you got to make a decision at 3:30. Do you watch the end of this game you've been watching for 3 hours? Or do you watch the start of the game that comes on at 3? It's a problem. The games lasting 4 hours are a problem. The NFL has figured out a way to play games in 3 hours. College football should be able to do that too. So I don't think these rule changes are going to drastically impact or affect anything. And if it gets the games closer to 3 hours than what we've been seeing the last couple of years, then I don't have a problem with these rule changes. I don't necessarily want any other. Now there were some rules changes that I can think of that could have been made that wouldn't have affected the commercial breaks, but still would have sped up the game without doing what they did. I think the instant replay situation needs to be addressed and corrected. A lot of time is wasted there. A lot of time. I don't know, over the course of an average game, you're probably talking 10 to 15 minutes wasted in instant replays these days. In order for a call to get overturned, according to the rule anyway, for any call on the field to get overturned, it has to be what's the phrase they use? It's got to be
beyond a reasonable doubt or whatever.
Yeah, there's a phrase they use. It's got to be I'm drawing a blank. It's got to be obvious. It's got to be indisputable. It's got to be clear and indisputable evidence. Thank you. There has to be clear and indisputable evidence in order to overturn a call. If you have to slow something down and study it for 10 minutes, it's not clear and indisputable. There should be a 60-second clock on reviews. If you can't find clear and indisputable evidence to correct the call in 60 seconds, the play on the field should stand. There shouldn't be time for the network to take a 3-minute commercial break for an instant replay. It's insane. And then we've all seen the game, I think it was 2 seasons ago, where they did an instant replay. It took them 3 or 4 minutes. They came out. They said whatever the decision was. The teams lined up to run the next play. And before they even ran the next play, they stopped the game again so that they could review the review. It's completely out of control. That you could easily shave 10 to 15 minutes off the broadcast time of a game by instituting. They have a play clock. You have to run a play within this number of seconds from the previous play ending. Give us a replay clock. Because if the rule is that it's got to be clear and indisputable, and it takes you 5 minutes to study it, it's not clear and indisputable. So they could do that. But as far as the rule changes go, we probably won't even notice a lot of it, honestly. We probably won't even notice a lot of it.
Yeah, that's true. And honestly, it's funny because these replays and the commercials are very annoying for the TV viewer and the usual college football viewer. But I would say they're worse for the fan because, I've been to all the FSU home games the past few years, and it's so annoying having both teams on the field ready to go, but there's some stupid guy with a big clock standing on the field. Literally, I don't know if anyone who's listening has been to a game recently.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah, it tells the audience how much time is left on the commercial break.
It's terrible. Yeah. It's like we got both teams right here ready to go, and this guy's got a clock, and so we got a minute and a half left. We just got to stand around. Yeah. It's terrible. It's super annoying, and the replays are even worse. Yeah, because there is no guy with the clock, so you never know when they're going to start the game up again. And it's the worst when they replay the play on the big jumbotrons in the stadium, and all the fans in the stadium know what the call is going to be, but they still take 3 minutes for their commercials to go or whatever they're doing. Right. Who Lord knows what they're doing.
Yeah, there should be no commercial breaks during instant replay, and it should be limited to 60 seconds. And at the end of that 60 seconds, if the referee can't overturn the call, then the call just stands and we keep playing football. I know everybody wants to live in a world where every single call gets made the correct way. It's just not going to happen. As long as you've got human being, holding, pass interference, there are certain penalties that could be called on every play or could never be called. They're subjective. It's just a part of the game. We all hate it when it happens at the end and affects the outcome, and I get that. And maybe, look, the rule, the changes that they made to the the rule changes they've made to the game clock, where the clock's stopping or not stopping. They separated the last 2 minutes of the first half and the last 2 minutes of the second half from those rule changes. Clock still stops. Do something like that with instant replay then, okay? Last 2 minutes of the game, unlimited amount of time for instant replay. But the rest of it, if you can't overturn it in 60 seconds, how you doing? Keep it moving. Next play, let's go. That's how that's how it should be. It's entirely too much time on these instant replays. If you want to take more time in the last 2 minutes to make sure a bad call doesn't directly decide the outcome of a game, fine. But other than that, let's put up a 60-second clock and let's get these games on the road. Hey, thank you for the call. Because it's aggravating even for me, and I've got a 5-screen setup in here where I can watch multiple games, so it's usually not a problem for me. If I'm watching a game at noon and it's not over yet at 3:30, I can turn the 3:30 game on one of my other TVs in here. But your average idiot, like me, doesn't have a room they sit in for 12 hours on Saturdays and watch 5 different TVs. It's annoying. It's fucking annoying. Here's the worst. This is the worst. And I'm sure you've all experienced this. your team or a game you really want to watch is supposed to come on at 3:30 on, let's say, ESPN2, okay? And you've known all week, all right, my game's coming on at 3:30 on ESPN2. So 3:25, you go, you sit down on your lazy boy or whatever it is, you turn your TV on to ESPN2, and guess what? There's 12 minutes to go in some meaningless bullshit noon game on ESPN2, and so you know it's not going to end by 3:30, which means the game you wanted to watch at 3:30 isn't going to come on ESPN2 at 3:30. And then you got to start studying and reading the scroll on the bottom of the screen where it'll scroll across and it'll say the Georgia versus Missouri game that was scheduled to come on this channel at 3:30 p.m. Eastern time is being temporarily moved to, and so then you got to find the other damn channel. It's just annoying. It's just annoying. Now, to be fair, a lot of shit annoys me, but I have a feeling that annoys a lot of people. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me? Hello?
So I want to speak to you about Alabama, all right?
All right.
I'm a Tennessee man, but are you making a prediction video on Tennessee?
Yeah.
All right, how you leaning with that game?
Which one?
Tennessee, Alabama.
If I had to pick it right now, I'd pick Alabama.
All right, so I have a couple things about Alabama. So they went and got Notre Dame's quarterback after they went and got his offensive coordinator, which is very, very confusing to me because all I heard was about how they were bringing in two of the best quarterbacks from high school, and Ty Simpson was so good, and their offense last year was pretty pitiful, honestly. Without Bryce Young, they probably lose 4 or 5 games.
Well, they did score 50 on you.
That's but I think a lot of that had to do with Bryce Young, even though he was only 50-60%. But I don't get how I just don't get why there's so much hype around Alabama next year, because
of the helmets they wear, and because of the head coach they have, and because of the recruiting classes they've had the last 4 years. That's why.
That's fair.
Other than that, no. I mean, they weren't a very good team last year. They lost all their good players. They lost their best player, Bryce Young. They lost their best offensive weapon, Jahmyr Gibbs. They lost their best player, Will Anderson. They led the country in drop passes. They were the most penalized team in the SEC. They were one of the most undisciplined teams in the country. They gave up 100 to Tennessee, which is just completely mind-boggling. They don't have a wide receiver that knows how to catch a ball. But so it's the helmet they wear, the head coach they have, and the talent on the roster. It's really that's why they're ranked where they are.
This is completely off topic, but have you ever thought about putting this on like Apple Podcasts, like after it's over?
I have thought. People ask me all the time about the podcast thing. I don't really have a legitimate answer as to why I don't do that, other than I don't know anything. I've never done podcasts. I don't listen to podcasts. I don't have a podcast app on my phone. So whether it's laziness or just don't have time to do it or what, but that's no. I don't have a good answer to give you. I
was just wondering.
I wish I had the time or motivation or whatever to do that, because people do ask about it all the time, and I'd love to have some amazing answer to give you, reason why I don't do it, but there's not one.
Also, that Tennessee fan earlier that was saying that people's saying that Nico should start against Georgia, he's full of shit. Nobody in their right mind is saying, hey, let's start Nico in his first game in week 11, the week before we play Vanderbilt against Georgia. Now,
you never know what's going to happen. Or God forbid somebody gets hurt, Joe Milton goes down or something like that. I don't really know. There's nobody else on Tennessee's roster, I don't think, that has any experience, right, at quarterback. It's just Joe Milton.
They got 2 scholarship quarterbacks this year.
Okay, so in my mind, I don't think Nico will start a single game this year unless Joe Milton gets hurt. And I don't expect this to happen, but let's say just something crazy happens and Tennessee has already lost 3 games by the middle of October. I don't expect that to happen. So they're out of it. They're not making a playoff. They're not making the SEC championship. They're just completely out of it. I've heard some Tennessee fans say, well, and if that happens, we should just go ahead and put Nico in. Maybe they do that, although I don't think they will. I think they would let Joe Milton finish out the season. But, yeah, it's the best case scenario for Tennessee, regardless of what their record ends up being this year, is for Joe Milton to play the entire season as a starting quarterback and for Nico to get as much experience as possible in the second half of games. I think that's the best case scenario.
Yeah, there's people talking about redshirting him, but if he's
No,
as
you
good
can't
as
do
everybody
that.
thinks
Nobody
he
does
is,
that. Nobody
yeah,
does that
if
anymore.
he's as good as everybody thinks he's gonna be, he's not gonna be there for 4 years.
Yeah. You don't. I disagree 100,000,000% on redshirting your backup quarterback. If you have a guy on your team who you expect to be your starter next year, you need to give him as much playing time this year as humanly possible. Kirby Smart made this mistake a bunch of times over the course of his career. Now, last year, he actually let Carson Beck play a lot in the second half and run the actual offense, which is going to be a big benefit for Carson Beck this year. You know, I've talked a lot about it even on this show, but all offseason. You know, Carson Beck doesn't have any starts, and so there's a little bit of unknown there. But over the course of Kirby's time at Georgia, last year was by far the most a backup quarterback has been allowed to play at Georgia in his entire time there. And I think that's the right way to handle it. I think if you've got a kid on your team that you expect to start next year, he should play as much as possible in the current year.
Yeah, well, I'll let you go, man.
All right, buddy. Appreciate you coming in. Good luck to the Hill Jacks. They'll have a good offense again, I'm pretty sure. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Nigger.
I'm assuming a black person fucked your mother when you were a child, and you probably walked in on it. Other than that, don't really know what to tell you. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, Lou, J-Rod here.
What's up, buddy?
First-time caller.
Yeah, appreciate it.
From Oklahoma. You can guess who my favorite team is.
Oklahoma State.
You got it, bro. Hey, I really enjoy your show, man. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you just fine.
All right. I just wanted to ask you a quick question about, if you go on Google and do a search for the 2023 recruiting school, and if you just look at the top 4 and you take a snapshot of that, what do you think, or do you think that could be like the future of the new SEC?
You talking about looking at the recruiting rankings to project future SEC rankings?
Not necessarily using the rankings, but just the snapshot of who those 4 teams are.
Well, I think if you recruit in the top 10 every year, you've got a really good chance of being in the top 10 every year. Recruiting is the biggest, single most important aspect of college football, in my opinion. More important than developing players, more important than offensive or defensive philosophy, more important than who you play at home or who you play on the road, more important than who you play in your non-con. I think the single biggest key to success in college football is recruiting.
Okay, and just so
now, does that mean does that mean if you've got the 3rd best recruiting class every year, you're going to finish 3rd every year? No, but there's a really good chance if you've got the 3rd best recruiting class every year, there's a very good chance you're going to be in the top 10. I mean, overwhelming odds.
Sure, but just for everybody that may not know, the top 4 recruiting teams for this season were Alabama, Georgia, Texas, and OU.
You talking about for the recruiting cycle that just ended?
No, for 2023 for the class coming in, right? And for the games going to be played this year.
Yeah. Now I wouldn't take a 1-year snapshot to judge that. I mean, because Texas, you got Texas A&M had the number 1 class right now. Florida has a top 5 class. It's more about a 2, 3, 4 year rolling average of recruiting classes, but.
Understood.
I agree with what you're saying in principle. I mean, recruiting is obviously important. I think that's what you're trying to say. But
Lou, but 3 of those teams, at least the last 4 or 5 years, have had top 10 classes every year.
Which who?
Actually, probably all 4 of them. You know, I like to talk trash about Texas, but to be honest, I think they probably always have a good recruiting class.
Yeah. Well, Georgia and Alabama have had top 10 recruiting classes every year.
Yeah.
Imaginable.
OU's been there too every year, man.
OU. Who else did you name? Texas? Yeah, Texas. Texas is probably the worst of those 4, at least over the last 5 years. They're better than Oklahoma right now, but they're the worst performing team of those 4 over the last 5 years.
So what do you think about that being that snapshot, that photo of those logos, those 4 logos? What do you think in the next few years that's going to be the top of the SEC?
Next few years, no. I don't believe that.
Okay.
Maybe over time. I mean, you know, if the SEC stays like it's going to be next year for 25 years, I think those will probably be the best 4 teams over that 25-year period: Texas, Oklahoma, Georgia, and Alabama. But I don't know that Texas and Oklahoma are going to be a top 4 team in the SEC next year or the year after.
Okay. You know, and I don't either. And I'm not one of those stupid fans that says we're just going to come in and dominate, but we are going to be a factor.
Yeah.
And I just can't wait to be in the SEC, man. After all these years in the Big 12, like all these, Alabama and Tennessee coming to town, I'm just super stoked about it.
Yeah, me too. It's going to be exciting for sure.
All right. Thanks, Lou.
Yeah, buddy. Appreciate you coming on, man. Good luck to the Sooners this year. Hopefully they can learn how to tackle somebody. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Yo, what's up, Lou?
Hey, what's up, buddy?
So, who do you think's gonna be like the #1 defense, like coming into the season?
Georgia. Is that a real question?
Yeah, but like, why though?
Why?
Yeah.
Well, because they're pretty much the #1 defense every year, and they return, what,
They got
7,
great
8
defense.
starters? What did he say? I don't even know what he said. I'm not sure he knows what he said. Good morning, you're on with Uncle Lou.
Yo, what's up, Lou?
What's up, buddy?
How you doing, man?
Doing good.
Hey,
man.
I appreciate the show, man. A damn hell of a job.
Yeah, thank you.
Just wanted to come on here and talk some football with you. Hey, you're a funny guy, man. So listen, I'm kind of like, I don't have like a certain team, but I'm overall a college football fan, right? So I usually bet on college football a lot during the season. So, but I had a question for you.
Okay.
I don't know if you bet or do you? I don't know if you bet or do you bet. When do you start looking at these lines that's coming out? Because these lines has been out for
two months ago.
maybe
Yeah,
the past.
2 months ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So do you kind of bet early lines, or do you even look at the early lines?
I bet a few.
Because some of these
I
lines
bet a
are
few
kind
of
of
them
out of
early.
whack.
I don't. I try to avoid betting games this early. I bet a few,
right?
Because injuries can just derail. You can end up throwing money away. But like win totals, like so Vandy over 3.5 wins. I think people are. If you're not betting on that, I don't know what's wrong with you. Stuff like that,
right?
National title winners, conference winners, stuff like that. I have bet on a few, a few games, but yeah. So, yep.
No, because I was looking at some of these lines during week 1, and it's like, yo, how many lines are kind of whack? Vandy, White.
You're cutting
White.
out. I'm gonna have to put you in the back. I'm not sure. You got something going on with your reception or your signal there. We'll try you again in a few minutes. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
I think Vanderbilt could possibly make a bowl game, but
yeah, they would have to pull a couple upsets. Now I think they're definitely going to go hit the over on 3.5 wins. But if they want to make a bowl game, they're going to have to beat at least 2 SEC teams, and So you start thinking about who could that be. I know they beat Florida last year, and I know Florida's going to be bad this year, but the odds still favor Florida winning that game. What about South Carolina? What about Kentucky? What about Mizzou? Because I don't think they're pulling off any major upset over somebody like Tennessee or Georgia. Like, I don't see that happening. So they got to find 2 SEC wins somewhere, and that's always hard to do for Vandy. They got to go undefeated in the non-con, which I think they can do, and then they got to win 2 SEC games to make a bowl game. It's going to be difficult.
Does Ohio State play Notre Dame this year?
Yeah, they play them.
What's the spread of that game?
I think Ohio State is favored by. You know what? I don't know. I'll have to look that up. I think it's around 7 to 10 points, but I could be wrong. Does anybody in the chat know? You can let me know. I guess I can look it up real quick. What else is on your mind while I look this up?
That's
Nothing?
about it.
That's about it?
Yep.
I understand. Let me look this up for you real quick. What week is that? Week 2 or 3 or 4 or something, isn't it?
I think it's week 2, I think.
Ohio State and Notre Dame and that. All right, hold on, I'm looking. Tennessee's favored by 7.5 over Florida. That's a lock. Ohio State's favored by 7.
7. I think they could possibly pull the upset.
Who, Notre Dame?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's possible. Ohio State's soft as shit. If they lose one player, they can't win a game. So it is possible. Yeah, it is possible.
I was going to say they could possibly lose 3 games, Ohio State, but Michigan could probably lose.
Yeah, Notre Dame, Penn State, and Michigan. Those are potential trip-up spots for Ohio State. Now, I would be shocked if they lost all 3 of them, but those are their 3 toughest games. I think I'd be surprised if they lost all 3, but yeah, those are 3 possibilities.
Could they possibly get up to by let's say Indiana week 1? I think that game is.
They're not losing to Indiana. I can tell you that. Me and you can beat Indiana. Me and you can beat Indiana. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. I think they'll probably lose to Michigan and Penn State, or Notre Dame and Michigan. 2 of those 3 games could be a loss.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know who to pick, but.
Well, that's the hard part. Yeah. Figuring out who to pick is the hard part. That's the difference between making money and losing money. All right, buddy. Yeah. Thank you for the call, man. It was good to hear from you. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou. All right. You forgot to unmute yourself before you yelled the N-word. That's a you problem. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
What's up, Lou? It's Nathan Gray. How you doing, sir?
Doing good. What's up, buddy?
Not much, man. Just wanted to talk some college football with you. Until I get off. So basically, the last I don't know how many calls I've heard, but it was pretty entertaining. Like the Florida fan, the delusional Florida fan. That was that got me cracking, laughing. And I think if you have predict if you did already, but I don't know if you did. But what do you think the Ohio State floor is if you had to pick?
The floor would be 8-4. That would mean they lost all 3 games that they could. The 3 big ones: Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State. And an upset, which doesn't happen often, but we've seen it happen before. I mean, Purdue beat them, Iowa beat them. Like it would have to be something like that, where they lost all 3 games that they played to good teams and an upset. I don't see any way that I'm not for a second predicting Ohio State to go 8-4, but you're asking what I think the absolute floor is. Like maybe Maybe the quarterback for whatever, because see, they keep losing quarterbacks to the NFL, and then they put another quarterback in, and no drop off at all, 4,500 yards every single year. So maybe the quarterback doesn't work out. Maybe one or two of their key players get injured. Maybe the defense, for some reason, doesn't live up to the hype. Whatever. 8-4 is the absolute worst possible case scenario. I don't think that's happening.
Yeah,
Somebody been in a clip just to say, Lou said Ohio State going 8-4. No, you asked me for the worst case scenario is 8-4. I don't think that's happening, but that would be the worst case scenario. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll be laughing that happened, but I'm pretty sure not one that happened at all. But yeah, I would not bet on that 8-4 record for Ohio State. Maybe 10-2, maybe, but I don't know. But the reason, so why do you think? What do you think if you're like a coach for Ohio State, just for example? What part fix the first part, like D-line, DBs, or all of it, or something like that?
What needs to be fixed on their defense?
Yeah, because
I mean, you're talking about small change. I mean, Ohio State's one of the best 4 or 5 teams in the country, without question. I mean, so when they talk, it's not like they need to make some sort of huge change. They just need small improvements in a couple of places. That's it.
Okay.
I mean, they're same with Michigan. I mean,
Okay. Yeah.
It's not like Tennessee where their entire defense is garbage. I mean,
right.
It's not Southern Cal type situations. I mean, they need to get a little tougher along the lines of scrimmage, in my opinion.
Yeah.
They need to get a little tougher along the lines of scrimmage. And I think they, in certain spots, they've got to play better.
I agree.
I mean, it's great that you play good against the run when you play some team in week 4, but what does that mean when Michigan runs on you for 300 yards?
Exactly.
Nothing. Means nothing.
Nothing.
I mean, it's great that you play Indiana and they can't complete a pass against you, but you let Stetson Bennett outplay C.J. Stroud. How's that possible?
I don't know.
I mean, Stetson Bennett had 400 yards against that tomato can defense. I mean, how's that possible?
I don't know how
and we can joke and say, well, their defense is terrible. The defense isn't terrible. They've got NFL players on all 3 levels of that defense. I don't know if it's a practice philosophy, a coaching philosophy. They're a little bit soft, and Ohio State fans still get mad when you say that, but it's just reality.
It is reality.
It's just the reality. They're a little bit soft. They're not Southern Cal, Lincoln Riley soft, but they could be better along the lines of scrimmage. And in the big games, their defense has let them down. That's just the reality. They lost to Oregon. Why? Gave up 300 yards rushing. Lost to Michigan 2 years in a row. Why? 300 yards rushing. Lost to Georgia. Why? Gave up 400 yards passing to Stetson fucking Bennett. That's why.
Yeah.
Look, what do people say about C.J. Stroud? He played the game of his life.
Yeah.
And he did. And he was the second best quarterback on the field that day.
Yeah, basically.
Now, do I think Stetson Bennett is better than C.J. Stroud? No, that's not what I'm saying. But in the second half of that game, when everything was on the line for both teams, Stetson Bennett outplayed C.J. Stroud.
Right.
And that's not because C.J. Stroud played bad. Because I agree, C.J. Stroud played the game of his life. Now, to be fair, he was playing against a much better defense than Stetson Bennett was.
Right, yeah.
So, let's be fair there. C.J. Stroud putting up 350 yards against Georgia versus Stetson Bennett putting up 400 yards against Ohio State. Not necessarily the same thing, but still, Stetson Bennett outplayed him in the money quarter, the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I agree. All of you said, all of the things you said about that, and we just all agree about this one thing.
Yeah.
Ohio State's defense is soft as cream of wheat.
All right, Nate. Thanks for coming on, buddy. We'll talk to you next time. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, morning, Uncle Lou. How are you, buddy?
Hey, good. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, I want to go through a little exercise. You're pretty knowledgeable of your starting offense, defense, right? For your Georgia Bulldogs?
Yeah.
Okay. How many guys do you think from both sides of the ball will be entering the draft. I know it's a little early.
Georgia's going to break every draft record known to man. Write it down right now. Georgia might have 20 players drafted.
You think this next coming year,
yes, they might have 20. They already have the record at whatever it is, 15 or 16.
Right, but in your honest opinion, you went through this roster and go, okay, he's gone. He's gone.
I haven't done it yet. I can do it right now, but you're going to have at least 3 offensive linemen.
Okay.
Ladd McConkey is a top 10 wide receiver according to every draft service in the country, so he's getting drafted.
I think you have a tight end's probably going.
Brock Bowers, so you're up to 5. And here's the deal: Georgia's been doing what they've been doing in the draft without having any offensive players drafted. Really, I mean, a handful. This year, they're going to have 6 or 7 offensive players drafted.
Okay.
And you don't even have to know anything. You can be an idiot in the middle of nowhere who barely pays attention to college football, and I can say, how many defensive players do you think is going to be drafted from Georgia? And 6 or 7 is a pretty good answer in any given year. So if Georgia ends up having 8 or 9 defensive players drafted, and they could have 8 or 9 offensive players drafted, I mean, they could break every draft record known to man, which they set themselves 2 drafts ago. You know, 3 offensive linemen, multiple wide receivers are gone after this year. Brock Bowers is gone after this year. We'll see about the running backs. We got several draft-eligible running backs. They need to remain healthy and have good years, but you could have a late-round draft pick at the running back position like they normally do. And then over on the defensive side of the ball, you're going to have 2 or 3 defensive linemen, 2 or 3 linebackers, and a couple of DBs because that's just every year. So yeah, they're but my bet would be, I would put money down right now that Georgia has more players drafted in next year's draft than they had 2 years ago, which set a record.
Well, if you've got 12 to 14 guys that literally are draft eligible next year, how the hell you guys aren't in the CFP? I mean, I know your schedule's a little light, but that's not to discredit the team. It's still just a kick-ass team. If you've got that many guys going into the league that are, three-peat's really, really possible, because that's how many teams can say that they've got 10 guys that are going to be drafted next year.
I think Georgia is better 3 years into this run than Alabama has ever been in any of their third year opportunities. Like they won it in 11 and 12. I think Georgia is better in 23, or I think Georgia has a better chance of three-peating than Alabama did in 11, 12, and then 13. I think they've got a better chance of three-peating than Southern Cal did in the 2000s. And to be honest with you, I don't really remember how good Nebraska was that third year after they won 2 in a row in the 90s. I have to go back and look. And then nobody won 2 in a row in the 80s. But it doesn't mean they'll do it. But they've got a good shot. Their offense is going to be better than last year, and their defense just has to be, anywhere in the same neighborhood as it has been the last 2 years, and they're going to have a really good chance.
Well, you're saying they have that many guys draft eligible, even after they've lost as many guys as they have.
Yeah,
every year.
Yeah, that's why Georgia. Yeah. A lot of people are going to cry when the final recruiting rankings for this cycle wrap up. Georgia's going to sign 30-something players, and people are going to be mad about it.
Well, I think,
but they have to.
Alabama,
because they're losing so many people.
The more Georgia just keeps dominating, and now LSU's on the climb. I think Alabama's going to slide in recruiting below them. That's just my opinion. I mean, that ain't facts, not yet, but I mean, these kids are going to go where they think they can go to the NFL, and they're also playing in natties. So right now, Georgia's an obvious selection.
Yes, the best of both worlds. You can come to Georgia. You've got a great chance of winning a lot of games and competing for national titles, and they've proven that they can develop you and put you into the NFL. So Georgia's in a good spot.
I'm going to give you an observation here. From an outside, I'm not an SEC guy, but if I had to pick a coach, Saban seems a lot crustier these days than Kirby, personality-wise.
Well,
I just think he's got a better energy about him. I'd rather play for Kirby. Nick just looks like a crabby old get off my damn grass kind of guy now.
I think you can argue back and forth about who you'd rather have coach your team right now. But if you were going to hire a coach for the next 10 years, there is no name to consider other than Kirby Smart. That's it.
Right.
Not Nick Saban, not Dabo Swinney, not Lincoln. There's not even an argument to be had. If you could pick any college football coach anywhere in the country to run your team for the next 10 years, it would be Kirby Smart. He's 45 years old.
Well, he's the one thing he's doing. A lot of coaches I don't see. He's running a complete program. He's got his ideas on offense. He wants it run. He runs it. He has it dialed. I know we've had talks about his quarterbacks in the past. He just runs an efficient program, top to bottom.
Yeah.
And Ryan Day doesn't do that. I mean, his defense, I know he's got that Knowles guy in there, but it's not like they don't have talent. Ohio State's got talent on defense, but it doesn't show. So
right.
I get it. Anyway, yeah, I just wanted to go over, kind of get your idea on what you thought was in the draft stock for this upcoming season for Georgia.
Yeah, that's it. All right, buddy. Appreciate you coming on. Good to hear from you. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, Luke, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you fine.
I got a question for you. Who do you think would start in the season and finish the season with the number one offense and the number one defense? Well, I know Georgia for one with number one defense.
Who do I think is going to have the best offense and who do I think is going to have the best defense? Is that what you're asking?
Yes. Yes.
Well, Georgia's going to have the best defense. Best offense, I'll go with Southern Cal.
Oh, yeah, I agree. Say, hypothetically, right? If Kirby Smart got a job offer from the NFL and he took that job, who would you want to coach at Georgia, and how do you think Georgia would do without Kirby Smart?
I have no idea. You know, I've never thought about that because I don't think Kirby's anywhere close to leaving.
Oh, yeah.
But I wonder if they wouldn't try to go back out and get like Dan Lanning.
Mm-hmm.
If he has another good year, you know, like let's say for whatever reason, Georgia three-peats or doesn't matter, whatever. And after this season, Kirby leaves for whatever reason, NFL, retirement, it doesn't matter, just he's leaving. And Oregon, it doesn't make the playoffs, but they win the Pac-12 and win a bowl game and finish 12-2 or something. Do they go look to Dan Lanning? He's an SEC guy. He can recruit down here. He's familiar with Georgia. Do they look at like another young guy like that? I mean, Georgia's a great job, but they're not going out and stealing or getting Dabo or so. In other words, if you make a list of top 5 head coaches right now, like Dabo, I guess is on there, Lincoln Riley is on there, whoever you was, Saban, whoever you want to put on. None of those people are leaving where they're at and coming to Georgia. Like I think Georgia's good. I think it's a great job, a great place to work and all that. I'm under no delusion that they can just go handpick anybody they want. Like, oh, we'll go get Dabo, we'll go get Lincoln Riley, we'll go get Brian Kelly, whatever coaches you think are the best 4 or 5. But no. But so I don't know if maybe they look at somebody who's been there and has proven he can also win somewhere else as a head coach. Maybe go get him, whether that's Dan Lanning or someone else. But it's maybe something like that. But I really don't know. I haven't thought much about it. It would probably be. My guess is it would be a defensive guy because that seemed to work this time. You know, we had Mark Richt, who was an offensive guy, and he did okay. He got he built Georgia up to a 10-win program. But Kirby has obviously taken the next step there. But so I think they would go out and look for a Kirby clone, a young guy, defensive guy who can recruit. And maybe that's Dan Lanning. Maybe it's somebody else. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. I got also another question for you. The Georgia-Auburn game, right? Do you think it'd be a low-scoring game, like up to the first or second quarter, and Georgia just do what they do best?
That's an interesting question because I don't think Auburn's going to score very many points against Georgia, obviously. And with that being Georgia's first road game of the year, that means it's Carson Beck's first ever road start. And if he struggles a little with the crowd noise or things like that, and it slows Georgia's offense down, then maybe you do run into a scenario where Georgia has to eke out, a 21-13 type of game. Yeah, that could happen.
Oh yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Like, do you think it could be the same situation with Ole Miss though, or no?
No, Ole Miss is a running team. They'd be lucky to score 17 against Georgia, and defensively, no one worries about Ole Miss. 45-17, something like that against Ole Miss.
Yeah. Say Carson Beck goes down, and Kirby doesn't know who to start. Who would you want to start that game if Carson Beck goes down for the rest of the season?
Without seeing any of them play, I would go with Brock just because he's a year older than Gunner. But I really don't know.
I got a question for you. It's regarding Alabama too. Saying, what are the options of Alabama going 9-3 or 9-4?
I think 9-3 is a possibility for Bama, a strong possibility.
Yeah, I think maybe if they end up losing to Texas, which I think they do, then Texas.
If they lose to Texas, 9-3 is their ceiling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you think that if you had to choose, do you think Georgia would have a potential trap game later down the road?
A what?
A potential trap game.
Yeah, the Auburn game. I'm going to have to let you go. There's an 11-question limit per call. Thank you for the call, though. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Nigger.
Another guy who's walked in on his mother fucking a black guy when he was a kid. What a shame that is. Just a terrible shame. And it's James. It's LSU James. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou. All right. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Yo, what's good, Uncle Lou?
What's up, buddy?
I got a couple things to say. Number one, I really appreciate, your content, man. You really helped me have a better understanding with college football. So I want to say I really appreciate it. The name definitely fits you. I can see you as my uncle, for sure. And before I really got into college football, I never really had a problem with Georgia, but because of you, I just don't like Georgia, man. I don't know. I guess I'm just a hater.
No, I
don't want to see you do bad, but I guess I'm just a Georgia hater.
Yeah.
And it's gonna take me a long time to see Georgia lose because I don't think they're gonna lose anytime soon. But just know that I'm waiting on it. For sure. But
that's a long. And just know that that's a long line that you're standing in. So you've got a lot of company there. There's a lot of people that don't really care about Georgia winning or losing. They just they want to see Uncle Lou lose, and I get it. And look, I'll be honest with you, from a selfish business and financial point of view, the best thing that could happen to me would be Georgia going 8-4. Be honest with you.
That's true.
Now that we've won a couple of national titles, I don't want to see Georgia go 8-4. But if they did, it wouldn't be the worst thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah, now the Lou haters would come out the dark, man.
Right.
For sure. But my question to you is, as far as ranking the SEC quarterbacks, do you think KJ Jefferson, I think that's his name from Arkansas, would he be the best SEC quarterback right now?
Well, Jaden Daniels at LSU, I think, is on the top of most people's list. Joe Milton at Tennessee, Spencer Rattler at South Carolina, Devin Leary at Kentucky. I mean, there's some good quarterbacks in the SEC. The problem with the SEC quarterback situation this year is that the two premier programs, Georgia and Alabama, are both starting QBs who've never played before. So there's a lot of question around that. There are some decent quarterbacks at other schools. You mentioned KJ Jefferson. He's one of them. Devin Leary at Kentucky, a transfer from NC State with a ton of starts. Spencer Rattler at South Carolina, obviously with a ton of starts. So you've got some decent quarterbacks in the SEC. Now, none of them. What you're missing is a great returning QB, right? KJ Jefferson has been good. Devin Leary, good, and now at a new school. Spencer Rattler, good. Great in 2 games at the end of the year. That's it. Overall, I would just classify him as kind of good. So you're missing like that great returning quarterback. I mean, last year in the SEC, you had the returning national championship quarterback and the returning Heisman winner. So you just had a lot of hype around the quarterback position in the SEC last offseason. You don't have that this year. Now, by the end of the year, I don't think anybody will be surprised if at the end of the year, Joe Milton is looked at as one of the best 5 or 6 quarterbacks in college football, or Carson Beck, or maybe, and this is a stretch, but what if one of the Alabama quarterbacks actually knows what they're doing? What if Texas A&M's quarterback with Bobby Petrino running the offense puts a year together? Connor Wegman, I guess, is going to be the guy. So you got a lot of potentially really good quarterbacks around the SEC, but you don't have the returning kind of hype machine that you have a lot of years in the SEC.
Okay, makes sense. And do you think if KJ Jefferson was at Alabama or Georgia, do you think he would be considered like top 2 in the SEC? Is he underrated? That's basically what I'm saying.
Well, he can't really throw the ball. I mean, he can't. He's not great. He's like dollar store Cam Newton. I mean, he's built like Cam Newton, and he's great. He runs between the tackles, and like on 3rd and 2, they're probably going to get a first down. That kind of deal. But I don't think he really scares anybody with his arm. So I think even if he was at you know what he is? He's less talented version of Anthony Richardson might be a better comparison. He can run around on you, but when people played Florida last year, they tried to figure, okay, let's keep Anthony Richardson in the pocket if we can. We'd love for Anthony Richardson to throw the ball 40 times. What we don't want is Anthony Richardson taking off and running. That's what we don't want.
Yeah.
Same thing with KJ Jefferson. You'd love to keep KJ Jefferson in the pocket and make him throw the ball because they're probably not going to beat you with KJ Jefferson throwing the ball.
Okay. Well, definitely. I mean, that definitely makes sense. I just wanted to ask because I'm looking at the top SEC quarterbacks, and I'm a huge Jaden Daniels fan because I played football with him. We're from the same city.
Oh, okay.
So I'm definitely looking to see him get drafted, man, out of San Bernardino because San Bernardino needs that shit for sure. But I was just trying to see like what quarterbacks would be ranked ahead of him in the SEC. I know we got a lot of Pac-12 quarterbacks right now that are looking right, along with Quinn Ewers in the Big 12. So, I'm just trying to see, what we do, man. But all right, I appreciate you, Uncle Lou, man. Keep making the content, and the season prediction videos that you've been making are fucking fantastic, man. Keep doing those. Hella entertaining. So
yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm getting back on those tomorrow. I've been out of town for a few days, so I took a couple of days off for the prediction videos, but I'm jumping right back into those tomorrow. So I appreciate that. And thank you for the call. It was good to hear from you. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou. All right, that was amazing. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Good morning, Lou. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
All right. So I got a question. As a Georgia fan, we've had trouble recruiting wide receiver position.
Yes.
I mean, that's well known. We have a legendary wide receiver who wants to get into coaching, Hines Ward. Why wouldn't we add him to the coaching roster?
As what?
Well, I don't know. You could add him as an analyst to start with.
Yeah.
To maybe move him to a wide receiver coaching position at some point. But he would be a great recruiter for us. And I don't know why I don't even hear his name mentioned.
Well, it's probably because a program like Georgia isn't typically where a coach gets their start.
Well, yeah, I mean.
And I don't think that being a great wide receiver makes you a great coach. So I don't, I don't think the two go hand in hand at all.
Yeah, that might be.
He may be a great coach. I don't know, but if he's a great coach, it's not because he was a great wide receiver. It's because he was a great, it's because he was a great coach. But
yeah, but
I mean, I've heard this before.
We could open it. We can open the door for him.
Yeah, let's get Hines Ward at wide receiver coach. David Pollack needs a job too. He can be the defensive line coach. I've heard these things before. I like to hire good coaches, not players who were good at Georgia in the mid '90s. Now, if we can find one that's both, I'm okay with that. I just don't know if Georgia is a program where a coach should get his start. I don't know about that.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't suggest hire him as wide receiver coach, but you could add him as an analyst and see how he does.
Yeah. Is Hines Ward willing to go on the road 300 days a year and recruit?
I don't know. That's
because if not, he need not waste his time interviewing at UGA. I mean, he's I'm sure a multi-millionaire. I don't know. Recruiting's not for everybody.
Yeah. All right. I just want to get your opinion on it.
All right, buddy. Appreciate you coming on. Good to hear from you. I love Hines Ward. Loved watching him play at UGA. Had a great NFL career. I've never subscribed to the belief that, well, such and such was great at Georgia, let's hire him as a coach. No. Kirby Smart started coaching at Valdosta State 25 years ago. He became head coach at Georgia 7 years ago. Like, if Hines Ward wants to be a coach, go coach at Valdosta State. Go coach at Georgia State, Mercer. Work your way up. And I don't know, you say Hines Ward wants to get into coaching. I don't know that to be the case. I'm not saying you're wrong. I don't see Hines Ward all over the place yelling and screaming that he wants to be a college coach. Maybe he is, and I just don't see it. I'm not saying you're wrong. I just don't see that. Good morning, you're on with Uncle Lou.
Lou, what's up, man? What's up?
Hey, what's going on, buddy?
I don't know if you heard this, but I seen this on like Twitter or Facebook today. The Tennessee fans are trying to get the game switched. They're trying to play Virginia instead of playing Virginia at 12. They're trying to play Virginia at night, and they don't want to play at Florida at 7. They want to switch. They want to try to get the Florida game switched to 12. I don't know if you heard that. That's just a rumor that I seen, and I'm like, that's crazy, man. That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the schools have no say-so in when a game is played. That's completely up to the network. So they're just going to have to play the game whenever the network tells them to.
Yeah. I'm thinking about going. I live in Jacksonville, so I'm like an hour away from Gainesville. I'm thinking about going to the Tennessee Florida game. I know it's gonna be electric. Crowd gonna be jumping, so I'm thinking about going to that one. It'll be my first ever college game I ever went to.
Oh yeah, it'll be a good one.
Yeah. So, yeah, man, I can't wait for the season, man. That's
me
all
too.
I got for
About
you.
6 weeks away. All right, buddy. I appreciate you coming on. Yeah, week 0, about 6 weeks away. Good to hear from you. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, Lou. Can you hear my mic is fine?
Yeah, I hear you just fine.
Yeah, I'm a current student at UGA, and I'm loving what I'm seeing. And but I was looking forward a bit, trying to see how this team could maybe dip in quality. I don't really think the recruiting is going down whatsoever. You mentioned we have maybe 20 people going to the draft.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about it. Previous dynasties usually fall off when a lot of institutional knowledge starts to leave in the form of coordinators leaving.
Yeah.
For example, Brent Venables just left. I think Clemson has taken a pretty steep dive on their defensive side since he's left. And also Bill O'Brien for Alabama. I know he's been hired out, but I don't think he was all that great.
Yeah.
I think he's largely responsible for how poorly they have done. And so I'm just worried if you're worried about Todd Monken leaving, considering how I think he was pretty innovative.
Yeah, I'm way more worried about Todd Monken leaving than I've ever been about any decent defensive coordinator. Like, I'm not, we lost Mel Tucker. Defense didn't miss a beat. You put Dan Lanning in there, never miss a beat. Dan Lanning leaves, you got Will Muschamp waiting in the wings, never miss a beat. Glenn Schumann. So I'm more worried about, because if you look at Kirby's offense, yes, Todd Monken was amazing, home run hire, grand slam. His other 2 offensive coordinator hires were hot garbage.
Yeah.
I mean, they were terrible hires. Chaney was a waste of time, and Coley was even worse.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea that, and I tell Bama fans this all the time, Nick Saban ain't perfect. I've heard Bama fans cry about Pete Golding for years now. Well, who hired him? Saban did. So I don't think just because Kirby hires somebody means it's a great hire. Now, I think Georgia will be fine offensively. I didn't mind Bobo when we had him as an offensive coordinator. Offense was not the problem the majority of the years that Bobo was there. I mean, the most points we've ever scored in a season occurred under Mike Bobo, not Todd Monken. As good as the offense has been the last 2 years, Bobo had a better offense 12 years ago than Monken ever had at Georgia. And Bobo has scored 40 points a game running the ball with Todd Gurley, and he scored 40 points a game throwing the ball with some nobodies. So he's proven he can do it either way. Not a good head coach, but he's proven he can be a good offensive mind. I'm giving Bobo the benefit of the doubt, and I'm giving Kirby the benefit of the doubt, but only a 1-year benefit of the doubt. That's it. If it doesn't work, it needs to be a Brandon Streeter situation at Clemson.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time, but we got to go a different direction. Because this is a Ferrari, and there ain't no reason this team should score under 40 points a game.
Yeah, you have to stay innovative offensively. I feel like Georgia has largely leapfrogged Alabama, especially, like I said, implementing the 2 tight end stats. That mirrors, if you watch a little bit of the NFL, it sort of mirrors some of the stuff going on over there. And in college, you see if you start to lag behind on the grease board, you start to lose games.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
things get
that's how
stagnant.
dynasties start to
Yeah,
fall.
things get stagnant after a while, for sure. Yeah. And, you know, Bobo's not a young guy. I mean, he's not some young, innovative, new offensive mind, you know. So I don't know what that means as far as how it'll go this year. But Kirby took a risk, in my opinion, because Georgia's clout is never going to be higher than it is right now. And there are very few offensive coaches in the country that if Kirby Smart knocked on their door, would tell him no. So I'm not going to say he could have gone out and got any offensive mind he wanted to run that offense, but he could have got almost any offensive mind he wanted to run that offense. And the thought never even crossed his mind. He knew who was replacing Todd Monken 2 months before Todd Monken ever quit. There was no job search. There were no interviews. There were no phone calls to other people. So he's taking a risk by, let's be real, he's promoting his buddy. That's what he's doing. Let's be real. He's promoting his buddy. And if it doesn't work out, he better be willing to fire his buddy.
Absolutely. You don't want to end up with an Iowa situation over here.
Right. Well, I'm not interested in
last
that.
thing you
I don't
want.
want that at all. And I know this isn't they're not related or whatever, but you're talking about 2 people who've been friends for 30 years. So for some reason it doesn't go well. You got to cut bait and you got to do it after 1 year. Yeah.
Really, that's the only way I could see this train falling off is if
I
we
agree.
start to lag behind in that way.
Yeah. Because
otherwise,
it's not like we're going to lose. I know the Ohio State game was crazy, but Georgia's not going to lose a bunch of games, 45-40 or whatever. So it's going to be hard to score on this team. So if we lose, it's most likely going to be an offensive issue.
Yeah, if we lose to South Carolina because we only scored like 20 points.
Yeah, I ain't got no interest in that. I ain't got time for that.
The hot seat is on.
Yeah. All right, buddy. Thank you for the call. Good to hear from you. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, what's going on, Lou?
What's up, buddy?
Hey, I just want to say I love the video. What was it, yesterday or the day before, about the Atlantic Constitution, whatever it is, and how I think you said it perfectly. How media will everyone's got a boss.
Yes.
And media is always going to lean one way. It's not back in the day where you had 3 channels.
Well, in corporate media, everyone's got a boss. Yes.
Yeah. But I mean, in general, like back in the day, there was 3 channels on the TV.
Right.
Now, if you lean one way, there's 15 different YouTube channels, 15 different corporate media conglomerates that is going to funnel what you like, how you like it. And it really is dangerous. I don't think it's going to be real hard for people to come together when all you hear is one thing. I'm a truck driver. You go to the West Coast and you turn on the TV. It's very different than Middle America.
Right.
I live in Iowa, and it's very different what kind of news gets sourced around. But anyways, talking about Iowa, I just moved to Iowa, and I'm a Bulldog. Moved from Macon to a little town in Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to take the wife and the boy to a couple Iowa games. Now, I've never been to, unless Georgia was playing or a team I like played, I would wear their gear. What would you say the right attire is to go to a game you have 0 dog in the fight? Do I go with the Georgia hat on like I would any other time, or should I buy what would be the polite way of going to a team that sucks and not try to rub it in their face?
Yeah. Now, I guess it would depend who the teams were. So, like, as a for example, like, let's say for some reason I found myself headed to a Florida Gators game against whoever. Yes, I'm wearing a Georgia hat. If I'm in the middle of Iowa and I'm a Georgia fan and I just want to go or take my son or whatever to watch a college football game and I take him to see Iowa play whatever random Big 12 team, I'm not necessarily wearing any type of hat. Maybe I wear a Georgia hat just because I always wear a Georgia hat, or maybe I just don't wear a hat at all and I just take my son to watch the game. I don't know who. Like, wearing a Georgia hat to an Iowa game is, it's not like people are gonna, it's not gonna really mean anything to the people at Iowa. I would do it at Florida because of the looks I would get. But as far as doing it at Iowa, now maybe if you go to if Iowa happened to be playing Texas or Oklahoma, which they're not, but so then maybe you do it there. But so I don't really think there's any right or wrong answer there for Iowa. And now if you were going to a Ohio State game, maybe you move to Columbus and you're going to an Ohio State game, yes, you wear your Georgia hat, because you got stuff to rub in, you got some shit talking to do. But what are you going to do at Iowa? You make some nepotism or some incest jokes with Kirk Ferentz and his son, and once you're done with that, and you pretty much just watch the game then.
And watch the corn grow, because that's about all we do.
Yeah, and if you're lucky, you might even get to see a touchdown scored in that game.
Hey, offensively it would be a miracle.
Yeah, right.
Well, thank you, sir, for the help, man.
Yeah, but
hey, you have a good night.
You too, man. Good to hear from you. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, Lou, how you doing, man? You hear me okay?
Yes, sir. Hear you fine.
Hey, man, I just want to love your show, man.
Thank you.
I haven't been able to get on here in a couple of days, but I just want to let you know you didn't know that Missouri was Georgia's rival.
Yeah, I thought I knew college football. Apparently, I don't. Georgia, Missouri, lifelong rivals. I just found that out last week.
I can't, man. I completely. I don't even know where to start with that. That is just utterly. I was laughing so hard, man. I think I got abs.
Yeah,
man. I just want to talk about one thing, Lou. What's it gonna take for Alabama fans to just grow the fuck up and realize I have this one guy at work, man, and I'll be honest with you. He's acting like I have to defend. Like, why do I have to defend that Alabama's not going to go 15-0? I don't understand that. Like, what world do you? He seems to think the best team in the country. They're perfect. They got Nick Saban, and they're going to be national championships this year again. I don't understand it. And these people come on this show and try to defend how great Alabama is. And my thing is, it speaks for itself. You know.
To me, if you think Alabama's winning a national title this year, then you must think that there's a lot of teams that are going to be a lot worse than they were last year, because you can't make a case to me that the reason Alabama's going to win a national title is because they're going to be better than they were last year, because I don't think they are going to be better than they were last year.
He was telling me that
it is possible to have a worse team this year but have a better record this year than you did last year based on who you play, and maybe the teams you play get worse. So, but you've got to, if you think Alabama's winning the national championship, then you've got to think that Georgia's going to be worse than last year. Ohio State's going to be worse than last year. Michigan's going to be worse than last year. Southern Cal's going to be worse than last year. And I could probably name 2 or 3 other teams that you've got to bank on being LSU and Tennessee have got to be worse than they were last year, because it's not a case where Alabama is going to get so much better this year, because they're not. I mean, their quarterback situation is a complete and total mess. Best case scenario is that they don't have a quarterback that throws 20 interceptions or turns the ball over 20 times and doesn't lose them any games. But last year you had a quarterback that was winning you games. You don't have that now. The quarterback for Alabama is not winning games this year.
Yeah, he's trying to tell me that the reason why Tyler Van Dyke came to Alabama was because he wouldn't have started last year, but he's better than Bryce Young. I about lost my mind.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I mean, Bryce Young was absolutely unbelievable. And you don't have him. You don't have Jahmyr Gibbs, which is by far the best offensive weapon they had last year. Will Anderson is gone. So, I mean, do I think Alabama's a terrible team? No. But they weren't good enough last year to win a national title. I don't think – not every team gets better from one year to the next. Sometimes you have teams that are a little bit worse for whatever reason. I can't see where where is Alabama's big improvement coming this year? Where?
I think Alabama's in more of a rebuilding year now than they've been in a long time.
I do think Alabama's secondary will be better this year than it was last year. I don't know about the front seven, though, because they lose Will Anderson, which I was told was the best player in college football last year. I do think the secondary will be better, but the quarterback's not going to be better. The running back is not going to be better. The wide receivers are the same. So I'm just having a hard time seeing where the big step forward is coming for Alabama this year.
Yeah.
So for anyone to pick Alabama, whether it's Alabama fans or like I think Reese Davis or Kirk Herbstreit, whoever it was, picks Alabama to win the national title, I guess that means they think Georgia's taking a huge step backwards, Ohio State's taking a huge step, all the teams I just named, because the only way Alabama is going to be, because to win the national title, Alabama doesn't have to be better than just one or two of those teams. They got to be better than all those teams. The only way Alabama wins a national title is if all of those teams take a significant step back. And maybe Georgia does. I don't know. But I find it hard to believe that Southern Cal is going to be worse than last year.
Every program worse.
Ohio State,
that's difficult.
Michigan, Georgia, LSU, Tennessee. They got to all be worse, and I don't see that happening.
All right, Lou, I got two more things, man. Let's get back to it. Quick take, and this is one of the things that make me laugh. They seem to think they're going to beat the living crap out of Texas. And I'm telling them it's a real possibility Texas could beat Alabama. Yeah, and he just laughs me out the door. They don't understand that they barely won in Texas last year. If Penn State and Alabama had to play right now, who would you pick?
Penn State and Bama? Oh, man. I'd probably have to take Bama there. Now, I'm real high on Penn State. I've got them fifth. And I think
aren't they returning their quarterback this year though?
No, but that's great because he's terrible. He's gone. Drew Alaris playing this year. The quarterback was terrible for them, but their entire defense comes back. They're going to be really good. But as high as I am on Penn State, I'm still in a kind of got to see them do it deal. I would probably pick Alabama in a neutral site game against Penn State if the game was played early in the year. Now I think
it would be no blowout though.
No. I think by the end of the year, Penn State's probably a better team than Alabama. But I got to see Penn State. Penn State's got to kind of prove it to me. I'm going out on a limb. I've got them fifth. That's higher than Bama. I've got them one spot ahead of Alabama right now. So I'm going out on a limb with them, but I think they're going to be really good. I think they beat Ohio State and lose to Michigan. I think Penn State goes 11-1 with a loss to Michigan and a win against Ohio State. Goes 11-1. Penn State could be the fourth playoff team in the same way that Ohio State was last year. They could lose to Michigan, but still get into the playoffs at that 4 seed if things go right. In the other conferences. So I think they'll be really good. But if they were playing in week 1, I'd probably take Alabama because it's going to be Drew Alaris' first start at quarterback. I'm high on Drew Alaris. I think he's got a lot of potential, but I got to see him play.
All right, Lou. Well, last question, man. If you had, obviously we're not going to count out Georgia. If you had one team you would like to see win a natty for the first time in a while, who would you enjoy seeing other than Georgia, obviously?
Yeah. Oh, man, that's interesting. I don't know that there's any team I'm necessarily – wanting them to win a natty, but I really don't know. I really don't think I can answer that. I'm
not gonna lie to you, Lou. It'd be really neat to see Penn State try to win one. It'd be interesting,
It wouldn't hurt my feelings at all for Penn State for a couple of reasons. Number one, I've been kind of high on them the last couple of years. Number two, I haven't talked a lot of shit about Penn State, so there's not like a million Penn State fans waiting to jump on me if they win a national title. Like, can you imagine if Tennessee won a national title?
You'd be rich.
To deal with?
You'd be rich.
Well, maybe, but like the mental toll that would take on me from having to listen to them tell me about it for 6 months, afterwards or whatever, or Alabama or Florida or something like that.
Yeah, I see you.
Yeah, so Penn State wouldn't bother me to see Penn State win one. Yeah.
All right, Lou. Well, I look forward to seeing that rivalry showdown between Georgia and Missouri.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, me too. Can't wait. Rivalry week. Yeah. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
What's up, Lou? How's it going?
Hey, what's up, buddy?
But so I was in the comments a second ago. I was talking to this Georgia man. He was saying he would bet me $1,000 that Carson Beck would win the Heisman. Now, he was saying, I was going to ask you straight up, would you take a bet right now that Carson Beck's going to win the Heisman going into this year?
Well, first of all, if the guy was willing to bet you that straight up, he's an idiot because you can get what are the odds on the odds that Carson Beck wins the Heisman is what, plus 2,000, something like that.
I think something like that.
That means he can take that same $1,000 and win 20,000. 1,000 would win you 20,000. So I don't know why in the hell he would bet that straight up with anybody, even if he really believed it. That was dumb. He should take that. If you believe Carson Beck's going to win the Heisman, you should take that bet to a sports book and get paid 20 times your money. So that's number one. Number two, no, I wouldn't bet on Carson Beck to win the Heisman. No.
I'm saying because he's never started a game, so you don't know what you're going to. I mean, you don't know what you're going to get, but I mean, you have spring ball and you have when he's played garbage time minutes. I mean, he's looked good there, but
I think he's going to be really good, and it wouldn't be the most shocking thing in the world to me if he is talked about as a Heisman candidate halfway through the season or something like that. But I don't think it's a smart. I think the smart value bets to make on the Heisman, and by value bets I mean people that could win it. Now these are long shots, that's why they're value bets. But people that could win it, but the payout is so huge, it's worth taking a shot on. Brock Bowers, Marvin Harrison, Harold Perkins.
Right. Yeah, I like those. I mean,
the best player in college football, Brock Bowers. The best offensive player not named Brock Bowers, Marvin Harrison, and the best defensive player, Harold Perkins. Now, the odds on those three are astronomical. But if one of them, you can bet you can put $100 on all three of those if you want, and if one of them hits, you're winning thousands of dollars, thousands of dollars.
But I know someone mentioned it earlier about Northwestern and all that stuff. I know ESPN put it out. They were talking about it was their baseball, but like it was the same thing kind of with Northwestern baseball. So I guess it's spilling over into their other.
Somebody mentioned that earlier with the baseball coach. Yeah, I haven't read up on it, but someone did mention it in the comments earlier that now the baseball coach is gone too.
They fired him because he had it was like a toxic environment and bullying and all that stuff going on in their baseball and all that stuff.
Yeah,
that's what ESPN put out. But
I don't know.
But yeah, I just had that, and you haven't been on this late in a minute, so
yeah. I took Tuesday off. I was out of town, so I didn't do the call-in show Tuesday. So I guess this is 2 nights worth of calls we're doing in one night here. Yeah, this is a long show here. You're the well, now someone else has joined, but the caller after you is going to be the last caller, and then I'm going to shut it down.
Dang it! I was almost the special last caller.
Yeah, almost. You were the last caller when I clicked on you, but now there's somebody else has joined now.
Dang it.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, how was your stay at the Cherokee when you were there?
It was good. Yeah, I always have a good time up there. It's a nice place up there. I mean, the place is huge, but it's up in the mountains. The weather is down here. It's 100 degrees every day with 100% humidity. Up there, it's like 85 degrees, which is still hot. If you're in the sun out by the pool, it's still hot, but it's not hell hot like it is down here.
Right.
So you can go up there, spend the day by the pool. There's a couple of good restaurants up there that I like to eat at, and of course, play some blackjack and stuff like that. It's always a fun trip.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'm 19, so I really wouldn't get to know any of that, but I do plan on going back up to Vegas. I have been there one time, but
I've never been to Vegas. We're me and Pigskin Pete are planning a Vegas trip for early next year, so we'll see how. Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. All right, Lou.
All right,
you
buddy.
have a good one.
Yeah,
man.
we'll talk to you next time. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou. No? All right. All right, that's going to do it. I appreciate everybody tuning in tonight for the call-in show. We'll be back next week to do it Tuesday and Thursday night at 9 p.m. Uncle Lou After Dark, the college football call-in show. Big shout-out to everybody that called in today. You cannot have a call-in show without callers. So I really appreciate those of you who took the time to call in. Matt Reacts, thank you for the super chat. He says, love the content, Lou. Thank you, Matt. I appreciate that. Thank you for helping to support the show. And then over on the PayPal, we had Homestead. Thank you for the PayPal. He says, Florida Man is better than going to a comedy show. Good show, Lou. Boomer. Thank you, Homestead. I appreciate you helping to support the show with the PayPal link. That means a lot to me. Thank you. Direct donations are what keep these live shows on the air. There is no ad revenue on these live shows. So I really, really appreciate those you helping to support the show. All right, shout out to the comment section. You guys are amazing as usual. As usual. Best comment section on all of YouTube. All right. I will see you all back again Tuesday night. We'll do it again, Uncle Lou After Dark, the college football call-in show. Have a good morning.